The kid 2 rows ahead of me is praying to a pencil case. Not a shrine, not a holy relic, a pencil case with a cartoon slime on it. That's the level of desperation in this classroom right now, 1 hour before the job change ceremony. And honestly, I get it. In our world, whatever class the heavens hand you at 18 decides the rest of your life. Warrior talent means academies fight over you. Mage talent means your family opens champagne. And then there's me, Chin Fan, sitting in the back row with my results sheet folded in my pocket like a coupon I'm embarrassed to use. Talent, Cooking Mastery, Grade E+, Cooking Mastery. 100 years ago, a game called God's Realm fused with reality. Monsters started climbing out of dungeons, and humanity survived by turning everyone into player characters, levels, stats, classes, the whole interface. Every kid dreams of drawing a combat class at the ceremony. My talent says I will plate a very nice steak while a demon eats my city. My deskmate, Fang Dahai, leans over. Big guy, heart of gold, brain of a well-meaning boulder. His talent is stone skin, grade D, and he's been strutting about it all week like he got knighted. Fan, bro, don't be nervous. Cooking is, people gotta eat. Even heroes, especially heroes. Heroes eat a lot. Thank you, Dahai. Deeply healing. Here's what nobody in this room knows. I'm not from this world. 7 years ago, I woke up in the body of a 9-year-old orphan in Anning City with a full set of someone else's memories and zero explanation. And I've spent those 7 years doing what any transmigrator does, waiting for my golden finger. The cheat, the system. Every novel says it comes. Mine was apparently shipped by the world's slowest courier because for 7 years, nothing. I started to believe I was just background scenery, an extra with a tragic backstory and a gift for stir fry. And then, 60 minutes before the ceremony, while a boy prays to a slime pencil case, a sound goes off inside my skull like someone flicking a wine glass the size of a cathedral. Ding. Strongest Beast Taming System activated. Welcome, host. Newcomer gift pack, SSS tier talent, affinity of all beasts. I sit very still. 7 years of silence, and you show up now, an hour before the most important sorting of my life, like a student sprinting in as the bell rings. I want to yell at it. I also want to kiss it. SSS tier. The talent chart in our textbooks goes from F to S, and S tier is the kind of thing that gets a national holiday named after you. SSS isn't on the chart. SSS is the chart looking up and taking off its hat. Affinity of all beasts. Every creature that breathes feels drawn to me. Every beast tamer in history would sell a kidney for a fraction of this. I glance at my hands. Same hands that julienned carrots this morning at the orphanage. Okay. Stay cool. Uncool people get noticed, and I have read enough novels to know what happens to kids who reveal treasure in public. Nothing good, and usually nothing quick. Bro, Dahai whispers, you're smiling at your own hands. People are gonna talk. The ceremony hall is packed by the time I file in. Parents, teachers, recruiters from academies sniffing around like sharks at a beach resort. In the middle of the stage sits the Awakening Formation, a stone circle older than the city, carved with lines that glow when a kid steps in and shows their future to everyone at once. Public, wonderful. Nothing I love more than an audience for surprises I haven't rehearsed. Our homeroom teacher, Zhao Li, is locked in a silent war with the Class 1 teacher who keeps announcing her students' results at a volume you could use to direct aircraft. 6 combat classes in my class already. 6. Zhao Li's smile is doing unpaid overtime. Class 3, our class, has produced 2 warriors, 1 archer, and a lot of clapping for other people. The ceremony grinds through the alphabet, and it's a casino floor with parents for chips. A girl from Class 2 draws Storm Archer, and her father starts calling people from the stands, live, mid-applause, negotiating her future at full volume. A kid with a C+ talent pulls a support class, and his mother's smile stays nailed on while her eyes hold a small private funeral. Dahai goes up, gets Guardian Warrior, solid, honest, D-grade ceiling, and proud of it, and gives me 2 thumbs up from the circle, like he's won the lottery, and you know what? For him it counts. Then Lehigh goes up, straight A student, D+ talent, the kind of guy teachers point at when they say hard work beats luck. The formation glows and spits out blacksmith. The hall does that thing where 400 people inhale at once. Blacksmith. All those years of studying, and the heavens said anvils. Lehigh walks off the stage with the expression of a man whose parachute just opened into a backpack full of laundry, and that's the mood when they call my name. Chin Fan, Class 3. I walk up. Somebody in the crowd has already found my file because I hear it ripple outward, row by row. Cooking talent. E+, the orphan, poor kid. The class 1 teacher doesn't even lower her voice. At least dinner's covered. Laughter. Zhaoli's jaw tightens, and to her credit, she says nothing, because what is there to say? My mom couldn't come on. She runs the orphanage I grew up in, and I told her not to. Told her it'd be boring. Told her nothing interesting would happen. I step into the circle. For 1 second, nothing. Long enough for someone to start a chuckle. Then the formation detonates with light, and the chuckle dies mid-birth. Above the stage, a phantom unfolds. Not a wolf, not a hawk, not any of the tame little silhouettes the ceremony usually produces. A dragon? A dragon the size of the ceremony hall, wings out, neck arched, eyes like two furnaces looking down at 400 people who have all simultaneously forgotten how chairs work. And below it, rank upon rank, hundreds of beast phantoms, tigers, serpents, birds with wingspans like sails, and every single one of them is bowing, not to the crowd, to the dragon, to me. Someone finds their voice near the back, and it comes out as a whisper that carries anyway. The dragon, the lord of all beasts. Somewhere backstage, there's a crashed I later learned the principal broke his own desk standing up too fast, and then the man himself comes sprinting down the aisle with his robe flapping, taking the stairs 3 at a time, staring at the light show above my head like it owes him money. Dragon Blood Warrior? He shouts. Is it a Dragon Blood Warrior? The formation prints my class into the air in letters of fire, and even the class 1 teacher reads it silently. Dragon Tamer, hidden class, not in any textbook. The principal's hands are actually shaking as he pulls up the archive on his terminal, and I watch his face do a full 4-season cycle in 10 seconds. Spring, a hidden class, unprecedented, incredible. Summer, Beast Tamer lineage commands the strongest creatures. Autumn, contract restriction. Winter, arriving with a cold snap. It says a Dragon Tamer can only ever contract pureblood dragons. Pause. But pureblood dragons are extinct, someone says helpfully from the front row. Haven't been seen in 100 years, not even in the deep dungeons. And just like that, the hall exhales all its awe in one long snort. The lord of all beasts, master of exactly 0 available pets, a 5-star general of an army that doesn't exist. The laughter starts small and gets comfortable. The class 1 teacher recovers her volume. So it's a fancier cooking talent. Somebody I've never met calls out, hey, at least he's got research value. And that one lands. That one really tours the room, because there's nothing a crowd loves more than a big word to hide a small cruelty in. Research value, like I'm a weird bug in a jar. I stand in the circle in the fading light of a dragon nobody believes in, and I do the math the way 7 years of being nobody taught me. They're laughing because the strongest talent in the hall just landed on the kid with no parents and no backers, and the universe has to be joking because the alternative is unbearable to them. Fine. Laugh. I've seen my character sheet. I know something you don't, and my system, with the comedic timing of a partner who's been waiting 7 years for this exact moment, chimes in my head. Ding. Challenge mission issued. Become the #1 examinee of Anning City in the college entrance exam. Time limit 1 month. Reward generous. #1 in the city. In a month, me, currently level 1. Class Dragon Tamer. Dragons available. None. I look out at 400 laughing faces, and I can't help it. I smile. The front row visibly does not know what to do with that. 1 month. Remember the laughing. I intend to collect on every second of it. Back in the classroom, they let us sit while paperwork happens, and I finally get to open my new toy properly. Nobody's watching me. Why would they? The joke's over, so I lean back and let the panel unfold across my vision like the world's most beautiful spreadsheet. Strongest Beast Taming System, class binding, Dragon Tamer. And the moment the class locks in, the system, which has apparently decided to apologize for 7 years of ghosting all at once, ding, class binding complete, newbie gift issued, dragon egg, grade SSS, species, blazing holy dragon. There is an egg in my inventory. An egg the size of a beach ball, deep red, with veins of gold light crawling across the shell like slow lightning, radiating heat I can feel through the interface, which should not be physically possible, and I do not care. A holy dragon. The archive backstage said pureblood dragons were extinct, and holy dragons, I've read the legends, holy dragons were the royalty above the purebloods. The class everyone just spent 10 minutes laughing at comes with its own dragon in the box, batteries included. Around me, my classmates are comparing combat classes and career plans, and I'm sitting in the back row holding back the urge to laugh like a cartoon villain, reading the fine print on my extinction-proof egg. Attach note, the little one inside has a favorite food, Divine Fire Jade Essence. I look it up. S-grade treasure, market price, more money than the orphanage has seen in its entire history. Of course, my daughter has expensive taste before she's even hatched, born into poverty, craving caviar. Bro, Dahai again, peering at me. You're doing the hand-smiling thing again. My home is the Anning City Orphanage, and before you get out the tiny violin, it's the best home I've ever had, in 2 worlds. Ma runs it. She's not my birth mother, she's the director, but she raised me from the day I arrived, and her talent, in a coincidence the universe clearly finds hilarious, is the same as mine. Cooking mastery, E+. She's been feeding 40 kids on that talent, and a budget made of hope for 20 years. I come through the gate, and she's already at the door with her apron on, trying to read my face, and pretending she isn't. Well, what did you get? Was it good? It doesn't matter if it wasn't good. Beast Tamer, I say. Technically true, criminally incomplete. Support class, very stable. A tamer. She lights up like I said, emperor. Stable is wonderful. Stable is best. People always need tamers. Then she feeds me until I physically cannot hold more noodles, which is her love language, and also her negotiation style, and also her entire personality. And I don't tell her about the dragon, or the SSS, or the phantom that made a principal break furniture. Because the moment word gets out that the orphan kid has a treasure tier class, every wolf in this city turns to look at this building full of children. Not yet, not until I'm strong enough that looking is all they'll dare do. That night, I check my sheet properly. Level 1. Every stat sitting at 15, the SSS talent alone stuffed 5 extra points into each before I've done a single push-up, which means at level 1, I'm already built like someone 3 levels deep. 1 skill, Dragon Taming, grade S, and 1 egg, warm in my inventory, patient as a landmine. First order of business, I put my hand on the shell and run the taming skill. Taming attempt failed. Okay, again, taming attempt failed, taming attempt failed, taming attempt failed. The egg isn't even hatched and it's already blowing me off, rejected by my own daughter through the shell, pre-birth. The system helpfully clarifies the little one is willing to talk business for Divine Fire Jade Essence, the S-grade treasure, the one that costs more than a city block. My unborn child has put a paywall on her affection, and my system, sensing that I'm broken 2 currencies at once, slides me a job offer across the table. Ding. Newbie quest issued. Exterminate 30 cat demons in the Shaolin Mountains. Time limit 3 days. Reward Divine Fire Jade Essence, 20 free attribute points. There it is, the Jade Essence, dangled like a bonus at the end of a probation period. 30 cat demons, level 11 monsters, pack hunters, claws like paring knives. For a normal fresh graduate, that quest is a funeral with extra steps. For me, with my inflated stats and a taming skill I've barely scratched, one way to find out. I leave before dawn, because before dawn is when the Adventurers Guild is busiest. This city runs on dungeon time, not sun time. 3 in the morning and the hall is packed, mercenaries slamming breakfast beers, quest boards flickering. And because Anning City is a village wearing a city's coat, I walk straight into people I know. Zhou Feng, warrior class now, gelled hair, the kind of guy who practices smirking. Liu Qing, mage, glasses, laughs at whatever Zhou Feng laughs at, half a second late. And Suru, I should explain, priestess class and not the discount kind. Her robes are tailored, her staff is a violet thing, worth more than a car, and her father is Su Qingguo, which in Anning City is a name you say the way you'd say the weather, and it affects everyone and answers to no one, richest man in the city. She's also, and I say this with the neutrality of a scientist, the kind of pretty that makes guild halls quieter. Zhuo Feng spots me, and his whole week improves. Qin Fan, here for a cooking quest? I hear the guild kitchen pays almost a living wage. Liu Qing laughs, half a second late. Suru doesn't laugh, which I note and file away. Weren't you the big dragon rider? Zhuo Feng goes on loud enough for the neighboring tables. Where's the dragon? Still in the mail. Still in the mail. I agree pleasantly, and take my quest slip, and leave him standing there with a prepared follow-up joke and nobody to use it on. There is no version of arguing with him that beats the version where I level up and he finds out later. But here's the thing I clock on my way out, because 7 years of being invisible teaches you to see. 3 men have attached themselves to Zhuo Feng's little expedition. Big scarred, level 14 if my eye's right, actual veterans, the kind who do not normally babysit fresh graduates for pocket change. They're laughing at all of Zhuo Feng's jokes, and their eyes aren't laughing at all. Their eyes are doing inventory, mostly of Surao's staff and Suru, men like that in a party of rookies headed into empty mountains. I've read this chapter before, not my circus, I tell myself, pushing the door. She's got her rich daddy and her hand-picked team, and she laughed at exactly none of my jokes. Wait, no, she made none of hers either. Doesn't matter. Not my circus. Not my monkeys, not my violet staff. My Yulin Mountains at sunrise are gorgeous in the way a trap is gorgeous. Mist in the valleys, bird song up top, and about 40 cat demons distributed through the middle like raisins in a very hostile bun. Level 11 apiece. fangs, speed, and a party trick where they scream at a pitch that turns your knees to soup. I find the first pack in a ravine, and now it's time to test the theory I've been quietly building since the ceremony. Because Affinity of All Beasts isn't just a friendship discount. Bundled inside it, the system lists a passive with a name I adore, Supreme Beast Intimidation, grade SSS. Every beast below a certain gap in rank doesn't just like me, it remembers what I am, or rather, what's coming, the thing in the egg, and the throne it sits on. The lead cat demon whips around, screams its knee soup scream, takes one look at me, and folds. Ears flat, belly to the stone, tail wrapped, the whole pack behind it dropping like someone cut their strings, not fleeing, bowing, presenting themselves necks bared, the way you'd hold still for a king with a bad temper. I stand there in the ravine, sword in hand, facing 40 monsters, arranged like the world's most horrifying petting zoo. And I say to nobody, this is going to be the easiest quest in the history of quests. It is not a battle, it is a harvest. I work through the ravine like the world's grimmest accountant, and every kill drops experience straight into the meter. The massacre drags me up 10 levels in a morning. The system counts generously. And by the time the sun clears the ridge, I've cleared 42 and the quest banner unfurls. My quest banner flips to complete and I collect Divine Fire Jade Essence 1. Free attribute points 20. The Jade Essence materializes in my hand, and even knowing the price tag, I'm not prepared. A stone of layered fire, light moving inside it like something alive is dreaming in there. Warm as fresh bread. 20 attribute points slot into my frame like armor plates. And before I can so much as sit down on a rock, a follow-up quest slides into my vision. Tame a dragon hatchling within 24 hours. My reward if I pull it off. 3 B-grade skills. My system has clearly decided that my 7 years of unemployment must be compensated with a crunch schedule. Fine. I've got the essence, I've got the egg, I've got a ravine full of dead cats and no witnesses. Let's go meet my daughter. I should tell you why I'm in this much of a hurry, and it's not the system's deadline. 2 years ago, the old man who sponsored our orphanage died. Good man, quiet money, never asked for thank yous. Since then, the accounts have been running on fumes, and Amma thinks I don't know that she works 3 jobs. The orphanage in the morning, a restaurant kitchen at night, and a cleaning shift after that, coming home at hours. She thinks none of us are awake to notice. I noticed 2 years ago. I've been pretending not to, because if I say it out loud, she'll just smile and lie to my face that she likes staying busy, and then we'll both have to live with me making her lie. So no, I'm not grinding cat demons for the love of the game. Every level I gain is a number in an equation that ends with Amma sleeping 8 hours and 40 kids eating meat more than once a week. That's the whole plan. That's been the plan since before I had a system, back when the plan's only asset was a cooking talent and stubbornness. Anyway, egg. I set it down in the middle of the ravine on a nest I build out of my own jacket because apparently I'm that kind of parent already, and I hold the Divine Fire Jade Essence against the shell. The gold veins in the shell light up and reach for it. Greedy little pulses. Through the system, I feel the deal land. 1 taming attempt, first try, and where 400 rejections stood, there's suddenly a thread running from my chest into the egg, warm as a heartbeat. The shell cracks along a seam of light, then it doesn't so much hatch as detonate politely. Fragments hanging in the air around a small red shape that unfolds wet wings, shakes itself like a dog, and looks up at me with eyes like molten gold. A blazing holy dragon. Title on the panel, Endless Firemaster, level 1. And here's where I stop joking for a second, because the system panel is screaming numbers that would make a National Academy call an emergency meeting at level 1, and every stat is around 300, with 3 S-grade skills and an A-grade breath she was literally born knowing. For scale, I'm level 11 with a body count in the 40s, and my stats are 15 apiece plus change. She is 1 minute old, and she could bench press my entire graduating class, but that's not the part that gets me. The part that gets me is that she wobbles over on legs she's never used, headbutts my knee, and makes a sound like a kettle trying to purr. No mother. No father, hatched in a ravine to the smell of dead cat demons, and the first thing she does is claim me. She's an orphan, same as me. Whatever family she gets in this world, that's me. That's what there is. Hey, I tell her, and my voice does something embarrassing on the single syllable. I'm your family now. That's the deal. Non-negotiable. She chirps and then tries to eat the jade essence, which, sure, priorities. I let her have it, and the moment she gulps it down, light floods through her scales like someone poured sunrise into a bottle. She grows in front of me, 1.5 meters at the shoulder in the space of a breath, and the panel recalculates. Level 5, stats around 500 across the board from 1 snack. She also, and the system swears this is in her official profile, has a registered love of fine drink, a newborn with a wine list. I name her Ying Ju, Little Ju for short, and if you must know, yes, it means the little booze hound. She answers to it instantly and looks proud. We are off to a fantastic start. The mountains give me a housewarming gift within the hour. A raiding party of minotaurs, level 12, a dozen of them, come to poach the cat demon territory now that someone's cleared it. Big axes, bigger shoulders, the confidence of creatures that have never met anything above them on the food chain. Little Jew takes a breath. I want to describe a battle. There is no battle. There is a wall of white gold fire, the width of the ravine, a sound like the sky clearing its throat, and then there is a valley with no minotaurs in it, and me at level 12 without swinging once. Product demonstration complete. My daughter, 1 hour old, has out DPS'd my entire career, and then she does the thing that tells me what our life together is going to be. She trots off into the woods and starts bringing back groceries, a unicorn rabbit held gently in her jaws like a waiter presenting wine, then an antelope, then another antelope. She stacks them at my feet and looks up with the unmistakable expression of a creature that has heard about barbecue and wishes to invest. She hatched, she leveled, and now she's hungry, and I'm the one with cooking mastery. This is why the Dragon Lord of all beasts took one look at the talent chart and picked the cook. Somewhere out there, the class 1 teacher said, "At least dinner's covered," as an insult. Madam, you have no idea how right you were. So I build a fire in a ravine in the Yulin Mountains, and I grill antelope for a holy dragon, and she eats her body weight and then mine, and falls asleep mid-chew with her head on my lap like a scaly furnace. The quest banner comes down while she snores. My panel stamps the taming quest complete and pays me on the spot. Hate mark, Dragon's Frenzy, Dragonclaw Assault, 3 B-grade skills, a taunt brand, a berserk buff, and a technique that turns my arm into a dragon's claw for 1 strike. My empty skill bar suddenly looks like an actual fighter's, and my system, never one to let my moment breathe, posts the final newbie quest before the embers die. One last newbie quest prints across my vision before the embers die. Raise my dragon to level 10 within 30 days. My reward, 2 S-grade passives, level 10 in 30 days. Judging by what 1 gemstone snack did, the real question isn't whether she makes 10. It's whether the mountains survive her diet plan. I look down at the snoring fire hazard drooling on my knee, doing that math about meat prices, and I feel the exact moment my wallet's fate is sealed. I've been a father for 3 hours, and I'm already going bankrupt. We spend the next 5 days living our best lives in those mountains. I hunt, she incinerates. I cook, she eats, repeat. I climb from 10 to 15, she climbs faster, and the division of labor sorts itself out on day 1. Anything that bows to my intimidation aura is mine. Sword work, clean and quiet, and anything strong enough to stay standing gets referred upstairs to the fire department. The black-scaled rhino is the exception I insist on, and it's a matter of principle. Level 16, Alpha of the River Valley, hide like a bank vault, and a temper like an audit. Little Jew offers for everything. She's a very generous co-worker, and I wave her onto a rock with strict instructions to spectate, because a man who only wins through his dragon is a man 1 bad summons away from being a cook again, and I've seen how fast this world takes things back. So it's 20 honest minutes of me in the vault, reading the charge lanes, baiting the horn into boulders, opening the hide seam by seam at the joints where even vaults have hinges, my new stats doing the lifting and my old stubbornness doing the aiming. The rhino files several formal complaints, all denied. When it finally goes down, I'm bleeding from 2 places I'll admit to. My sword needs a smith, and Little Jew applauds by slapping her tail on the rock like a delighted drum section, worth every minute. The meat, slow braised, levels her twice, which she frames as further proof that my fights are ultimately catering. And the whole time, in the back of my head, a clock I didn't set keeps ticking, because on day 2, I spotted smoke from a camp 2 valleys over, and through the trees, gelled hair, Zhou Feng's little expedition, grinding the safe edges of the mountains. Rich girl, 2 flunkies, and 3 veteran porters, whose eyes do inventory, still together, still deep in the quiet part of the map. On day 5, the system stops pretending it isn't watching the same channel I am. Ding. Random quest issued. Hero saves the beauty. Rescue Su Ro. Time limit, 12 hours. Reward, 2 diamond chests, 1 legendary chest. Well, that's the most honest quest name I've ever seen, and also the system confirming what my gut said in the guild hall. It's happening today, and there's a countdown on it. I'm moving before the banner finishes unrolling, not for the chests. Okay, 10% for the chests. I'm a father now. I have mouths to feed. I follow the smoke, and the closer I get, the more the sounds tell the story ahead of my eyes. A girl's voice, sharp with fury, men laughing, unhurried, the laugh of people who think the hard part's over. I come over the ridge into a campsite, frozen mid-crime. The 3 porters, brothers, it turns out, Dalong, Erlong, Sanlong, 17 levels of scar tissue between them, are done pretending. DeLong has Suru's violet staff in one hand, testing its weight like he's already at the pawn shop, while Erlong ties her wrists, and the brothers are cheerfully debating logistics, whether the richest man in Anning City pays better for his daughter in one installment or several, and which border broker gives the best rate if daddy lowballs the ransom. She's not crying, I'll give her that. She's staring at them with an expression that promises expensive lawyers and personal violence in that order, and Zhou Feng and Liu Qing on their knees, both of them folded the second the knives came out. And Liu Qing, glasses, half-second laugh, 4 years of eating lunch at Suro's table, is the one who tied the first knot because he volunteered to prove to the brothers he could be useful enough to keep. His hands are shaking and he's doing it anyway. There's a special shelf in hell for the ones whose survival instinct dresses up as initiative. I gotta say, I announced from the ridge, strolling down like I'm joining a picnic. I thought there would only be 3 chubby heads. Turns out 5, 6 faces snap toward me. Then 5 of them relax, which is my favorite part. Da Long actually laughs. The cook, the dragon boy with no dragon? Shuo Feng from his knees finds one last coin of spite to spend. Run, idiot. You'll ruin everything. They'll kill you too. No, wait. That's not spite. That's him worried. I'll upset the men holding his leash. Incredible. Even hostage adjacent. He's managing up. Suro's eyes meet mine, and hers are the only ones doing real math. She saw the ceremony. She's the one person in this camp wondering if the joke class has a punchline. DeLong flicks 2 fingers, bored. Erlong, add him to the ransom list. Kid's got a face. Someone will pay something. Erlong comes at me, rolling his shoulders. A level 14 veteran closing on a fresh graduate, absolutely certain of how this goes. Dragonclaw assault. My right arm ignites into a shape that has no business on a human being. Scale and talon and heat shimmer. And I put it through his guard like his guard is a rumor. 1 strike. He lands 4 meters away and does not get up, and the camp goes quiet enough to hear the fire pop. So I say into that silence, flexing fingers that are fingers again. Ransom list, who else is on that? They come at me together, and I'll say this for the Long brothers. They're professionals, real footwork, real coordination, weapons that have killed people. 6 months ago, any one of them ends me in an exchange. But I've spent 5 days sparring a creature whose warm-up sets off forest fire alarms, and Dragon's Frenzy is humming in my blood, and the honest truth is they're fighting last week's rumor of me. Da Long's axe whistles past my ear. I step inside it, and the claw takes him across the chest, and the camp's quiet gets 2 bodies heavier. San Long breaks for the tree line. He does not reach the tree line, which leaves the kneelers. Zhou Feng grabs a sword off the ground and points it at me. Reads the room one final time, wrongly, on the theory that if he can't apologize his way out, he can fight his way up. I don't even use the claw for that one. Liu Qing doesn't grab anything. He looks at the rope still in his hands and at me and starts explaining. There's always an explanation. He was forced, he was buying time, he was secretly planning to. I look at Suro's bound wrists, tied by a volunteer, and I make it quick, and I don't feel like narrating it. Some trash you just take out. Suro is very quiet while I cut her loose. Up close she smells like temple incense and fear cooling off, and she's staring at me the way the principal stared at the dragon phantom. You killed all 5, she says, testing the sentence for cracks. You're welcome. No, I mean, she stops, regroups, rubs her wrists. And then Anning City's richest daughter looks up at the orphan cook with an expression I have never once had aimed at me and could get used to, and says, "Thank you. I owe you my life. My family pays its debts." A beat. I'd rather pay this one personally, though. I decide, for everyone's safety, not to ask what that means. My quest log settles the account that evening. Hero saves the beauty, complete. 2 diamond chests and a legendary drop into my inventory. I open the chest that evening, once Suru's escorted safely to the Ranger Post Road, and the diamond ones alone would have made my month. A purple grade sword, mystic crystal earth scale, edge like a grudge, a full speed set, Swiftwind, a top gene potion that permanently adds 50 to every stat, which I drink on the spot and feel my whole skeleton get an opinion. A fire dragon bullet, B grade, single-use dragon breath in a cartridge, great haul, life-changing haul by yesterday's standards. Then the legendary chest opens and yesterday's standards leave the building. Bloodline fusion, grade SSS. Effect, permanently inherit 20% of your contracted dragon stats. Stacks with every additional dragon contracted. No upper limit. I read it 3 times because I need to be sure the important words are real. Stacks. No limit. Little Jew's stats are in the high hundreds and climbing like a rocket with anger issues. And 1/5 of everything she ever becomes now pours into me permanently, forever. And if I ever contract a 2nd dragon, a 3rd, a 4th, it stacks. The system didn't hand me a weapon. It handed me a percentage of every dragon I will ever love in perpetuity. The world's most violent dividend plan. My stats finish recalculating at roughly 290 across the board. This morning, I was proud of 40. Little Jew Ju, meanwhile, celebrates by demonstrating her newest trick, Dragon Transformation. She's got forms, plural, a divine fire mode where her magic multiplies fivefold, and a strength mode where her body does muscle stacking on muscle until she looks like a myth about consequences. She cycles through them in the firelight, showing off, and I applaud like a dad at a recital, because that's what this is. The only sour note comes on the walk home, when we catch up to Suro at the road, and she sees little Ju, small-sized and trotting at my heel, and coos, "Oh, your little lizard is adorable." Lizard. Little Ju stops walking, turns her head with the slow precision of a gun turret, and produces, from somewhere in her 1.5-meter frame, the offended dignity of an empress being handed a mop. I scoop her up before diplomatic relations collapse. "She's a dragon," I say. "She will remember this conversation forever." I'm not joking. She will. Morning brings me company. Suru, it turns out, did not go home to her mansion and her bubble bath. She went and got reinforcements, a 6-person team from school number 3, led by a mage named Zhou Shuangkan, who greets me with a handshake like a dead fish and eyes like an audit, tall, expensive robes. And the fun fact arrives within a minute of meeting him, because he makes sure it does. He and Suru are childhood friends. He says childhood friends the way a man says reserved seat. And here she is, dragging some orphan out of the mountains, thanking him warmly, standing closer to him than to Zhou Shuangkan. I can hear the man's molars from 4 meters away. The reason everyone's here instead of home. Someone found a wild hidden dungeon in these mountains. Goblin Village. Silver grade, hell difficulty, level 15 and up, party of 8. Wild dungeons are lottery tickets, first clear loot untouched by any guild. And hell difficulty on a silver is where fresh graduates go to donate their equipment to the floor. My system, which has apparently developed a taste for watching me work, weighs in immediately. A quest unrolls across my vision. Clear the hidden dungeon as the #1 damage dealer. My reward, a 2nd profession scroll, life skills class, and a bonus underneath it, bank 50,000 experience. A 2nd profession scroll. Those are the stuff of national auctions. A whole extra class stacked on your first. And it's a life skills scroll, which any combat player would sneer at, and which makes my cooking talent heart do one interested beat. Fine system. I see the shape of your plan. I'm in. So 8 of us go goblin hunting. Me, Suru, Zhou Shuangkan, and his 5. And the dungeon is a proper dungeon. A fortified village of green shrieking maniacs in the hundreds. Arrow storms, boiling oil, the works. Suro turns out to be the real deal as a priestess. 4 buffs on the whole party before the gate, hands glowing, completely calm. The girl tied up by bandits 2 days ago walks into a hell dungeon like it's a spa appointment. Noted. Zhou Shuangkan turns out to be the real deal as well, just not at magic, at scheming. I catch it in fragments, the way he assigns me point position at every choke point, the way his boys drift out of formation whenever I engage, leaving gaps behind me shaped exactly like an accident waiting to happen. He's not planning to fight me, he's planning to let the dungeon do it, and to shrug tragically at the funeral. My dragon instincts, a sense I'm still learning, like a new tooth, keep brushing against his killing intent, patient and greasy, from the back line. Joke's on him, I wanted the front anyway. That's where the damage meter lives. The first wave comes at me at the outer palisade, 50 goblins with rust blades, and the pack courage of creatures that have never lost at these numbers. The party plan calls for a shield line and attrition. I skip the plan, wade in at the gate choke point, and discover the pleasant arithmetic of my new stat sheet. Their blades can't rush me faster than my sword ends them, so the choke point becomes a toll booth, and the toll is everything they have. Behind me, the school number 3 kids are shouting formations at each other and hitting nothing but momentum. Suru just watches me work with her staff planted, recalculating something in her head. I can feel the recalculation from here. The second wave brings me ladders and archers on the walls, and a hobgoblin drill sergeant whipping the mob into actual ranks. And this is where the party earns its keep despite itself. The tank finally sets his wall. The archers trade volleys, and Suru's group heal keeps 3 overcommitted idiots upright through mistakes that should have been tuition. Zhou Shuangkan contributes 1 flashy overcast fireball that mostly signals our position, then retreats to command from safety, which in his dialect means narrate. I take the walls personally, sword on the wire, cutting the archer line out of its towers like a man pruning a hedge that insulted him. Third wave, the goblins commit their whole garrison to 1 push, a green tide over the barricades, and I stop holding back. Mystic crystal earthscale sword, 2 full power horizontal arcs, and the tide gets shorter by everything in the first 10 meters. When the dust settles, the party's damage tally puts me at 80% of the total, and 6 school number 3 faces are looking at me the way you look at a vending machine that just dispensed a live tiger. Suru announces in the bright voice of a girl who knows exactly what she's doing. New plan, Shinfan commands from here. The elite guarding the inner village is a giant goblin, level 17, 4-star, silver, 3 meters of gristle with a tree for a club. It backhands their tank into a wall mid-introduction. Their assassin, a smug little unit named Li Dafu, decides the smart move is to hide in a hut and let everyone else bleed. The hut, it turns out, is where goblins live. The goblins in it disagree with his plan at length. We can't reach him in time. The dungeon takes its toll, and I file the lesson. In hell difficulty, cowardice has a body count of exactly 1. The giant goblin comes for me next, club up, and I try something I've been marinating since the ravine. Supreme Beast Intimidation, full pressure, aimed like a spotlight. Kneel. It kneels. 3 meters of monster folds up mid-charge like its knees got repossessed, and while its brain buffers, I slot the fire dragon bullet into the gap of its helmet and let a cartridge of dragon breath do the paperwork. The helmet glows cherry red from the inside. Stand back up. The Saridar Shuri Joe Schwanken and 2 of his boys are gone by then, by the way, bolted for the exit corridor at the elite's first roar, leaving Suro behind without a glance. She notices. Oh, she notices. Childhood friendship takes damage that no priestess can heal, which leaves the boss vault, and me, and the people who stayed. The Goblin King is level 19, 5-star silver, and it has an aura called King's Authority that eats 70% of physical damage, the kind of gimmick that wipes fresh parties because nobody's mage is strong enough to go around it. Its throne room smells like a century of bad decisions. It rises, crown of bones, and bellows a challenge. I look at it and I feel almost bad about what happens next. Little Jew. Dinner's early today. She comes out of the summoning circle at full size, 10 meters of blazing holy dragon unfolding in a throne room built for goblins, and the Goblin King's royal bearing lasts about the length of one royal gasp. Then the lord of this entire dungeon, the 5-star boss, the final exam of hell difficulty, throws itself flat on the floor in front of my dragon, and I swear to you on my cooking talent, it whimpers, "Spare me, boss." Kings recognize thrones. Every beast in this world knows what a holy dragon is, the way every employee knows the owner's daughter. Little Jew looks at me. I shrug. She breathes. Clear time, 7 minutes, 21 seconds. Rating SSS. The dungeon's first clear rewards rain down like a piñata caught embezzling. A priest skill book, a ring, the Goblin King's 5-star sword, an enchantment card, the boss's still warm treasure heart, and the scroll. My scroll. Life skills. Second profession. Mine. In the loot sorting lull, I make Suru a business proposal because the 2 most dangerous things in my life right now are her eyes and her mouth. The first keep watching me. The second reports to the richest man in the city. The priest's skill book and the ring are hers, I tell her. 2 conditions. 1. What she saw in that throne room. The wingspan, the fire, all of it stays behind her teeth. From everyone. Father included, especially father. 2. I need liquidity for a growing household, so she's buying the surplus loot. 30 million. Transfer by tonight. She listens to the whole structure of the deal with her arms crossed, nods at the numbers like a merchant's daughter, and then goes pink from the collar up and asks, in a voice aiming for casual and missing by a province, "And if I can't raise the cash by tonight, do I pay some other way?" "Absolutely not," I say. "We invoice. Net 30 days like civilized people." She calls me boring. The transfer clears in an hour. Her secrecy, for the record, holds all year, through interviews, through interrogation-grade family dinners, through everything. Merchant's daughter, a deal's a deal. Outside the dungeon, there's one piece of unfinished business, and it comes at my back with a whirlwind attack the moment I step into daylight. Nie Xiong, a red-haired level 17 guard captain of the Zhou family, whose swing I parry on reflex, and whose sword arm leaves the conversation shortly after. He's very talkative once he's disarmed. One name falls out of him almost instantly. Zhou Schwanken. Of course, the man ran home early and still left a tip. Suro goes pale. Qin Fan, his family, Zhou Schwanken, is the eldest son. If you touch him, the Zhou family will never stop. Here's my problem with that reasoning. He hired steel to open my back today. Next time it's poison, or 10 men, or something aimed at an orphanage. Mercy toward a man like that isn't virtue. It's a scheduling decision. So I walk into their camp on the ridge, where he's rehearsing his tragic account of my death, and I make sure the Zhou family's succession plan needs revising, and his 2 accomplices stop being witnesses in any sense that matters. I give it to you as a result, not a scene, because it wasn't a scene. It was maintenance. And Su Rao, heiress priestess girl I assumed would faint, picks up a fallen sword, walks to what's left, and adds a stroke of her own. Her hands shake, her voice doesn't. There, now I'm your accomplice. You can't cut me loose. I look at this girl, tied up by kidnappers 3 days ago, welding herself to a murder scene on purpose so I can't walk away from knowing her, and I revise several assumptions at once. Little Jew tidies the site with fire until there's nothing left but weather. That night, the scroll, I break the seal, and the life skills profession doesn't roll dice. It reads you. It reaches into what you already are, and what I already am underneath the dragons, and the stat sheet is a kid who spent 7 years feeding people. My panel prints my new truth in gold. Second profession acquired. Spirit chef. My E+ cooking talent doesn't get replaced, it gets promoted. A spirit chef's meals carry buffs, real ones, stat boosts, and regeneration baked into the food itself, scaling with the ingredients and the skill of the hands. Every monster I kill is a pantry now. Every feast I cook makes my whole party stronger. The class the entire ceremony hall laughed at just fused with the class they laughed at harder, and the result is a man who can raise a dragon on barbecue and turn the barbecue into a war asset. The 50,000 experience bonus lands on top, my level ticks to 18, Little Jew hits 10, and the newbie chapter of the system closes with fireworks, the 2 promised S-grade passives. Fire affinity, 80% of all fire damage against me, gone, which given my daughter's hobbies is less a combat skill and more home insurance. And Dragon Battle in the wild, 70% boost to everything, anytime I fight alongside my dragon, which the system knows. It's not a bonus, it's a lifestyle subsidy. On the walk home, Little Jew, now level 10, stats north of 1,000, a creature that vaporized a boss this afternoon, spots a world tier monster marker on the guild map, a level 25 calamity beast that's been terrorized a district for a month with a bounty to match. We detour. She handles it with one paw, the way you'd flatten a mosquito that owed you money, and I collect the bounty with a straight face while the clerk looks from the tiny lizard on my shoulder to the kill verification and back. Su Rao, watching all of it, comes to a decision I can see happening in real time, like weather forming. The entrance exam, she says. Team with me, I'll follow your orders, all of them. A pause, very dignified. Also, my father will want to meet you, but ignore that for now. 1 month ago, I was the joke of the ceremony hall. Tonight, a holy dragon is asleep on my shoulders, a second profession is humming in my hands, and the richest girl in the city just enlisted. The exam's in 3 weeks. The city has no idea what's coming to sit its entrance exam. The guild hall the next day is an experience I'd bottle if I could. See, the Long brothers were regulars, fixtures even, the way mold is a fixture, and their whole circle notices the absence at once. Someone finally asked me, since I was last seen taking a quest into the same mountains. Hey kid, you seen the Long brothers up there? Take a guess, and then the court breaks walking, and behind me, the table does the group math and arrives in perfect silence at the correct answer. Nobody asks a follow-up question. Guild halls are self-educating environments. My metro ride home deserves its own mention because a 1.5-meter dragon compressed down to shoulder size is apparently irresistible to the general public. 2 university girls spend 3 stops cooing at Little Jew. Look at the little lizard. Look at her tiny face. Can I pet her? I feel my shoulder heat up 2 degrees per sentence. Little Jew's tail starts doing a slow metronome of barely leashed royal fury. The lord of all beasts, the endless fire master. Lizard, sorry, I say, physically turning my body between my dragon and an international incident. My dog doesn't like strangers' hands. The tail stops, the head swivels, and now the look of betrayal is aimed at me. Dog, I have somehow made it worse. She doesn't speak human yet, but the glare needs no translation, and dinner that night cost me 2 extra antelopes in reparations. Speaking of money, the boss heart. Saint Treasure Inn, the biggest exchange in the city, is where you sell something like the Goblin King's treasure heart, and I walk in wearing my usual orphan chic to a floor full of silk. And of course she's there. Zhang Dan grew up in our orphanage, same halls, same donated shoes, and the day she got adopted by money, she began a lifelong project of erasing every year before it. She's currently draped on the arm of one Ho Yibo, a silver-haired academy gem with a radiant knight class, the kind of young master whose monthly allowance has its own accountant. She sees me and lights up like a slot machine because publicly stepping on where she came from is her favorite exercise. Oh, Chin Fan, still in those clothes? Are you here to sell herbs? To Ho Yibo in a stage aside. He's from that orphanage, the cooking talent. It's actually a little sad. Ho Yibo runs a bored eye over me and produces with the effort of a man tipping a valet. Every city needs cooks, and pretty streets quarter street sign. The appraiser chooses that exact moment to come back to the counter, moving at the speed appraisers reserve for house on fire situations, and announces a number with a lot of syllables in it, 30 million. For the heart, would Sir prefer transfer or platinum note? The silence has texture. Zhang Dan's face performs an entire silent film. Disbelief, a recount, horror, and then the slow dawning arithmetic of a woman realizing she may have hitched her wagon to the wrong income bracket because Ho Yibo's famous allowance is 500,000 a month and the orphan in bad clothes just made 60 months of it selling one organ he had spare. She actually takes a step toward me. I watch the recalibration happen live, the sneer dismantling itself into something marketable. Chin Fan, we grew up together. We should really catch. And I let the sentence die of exposure because we did grow up together, which is exactly how I know what her warmth costs and what it's for. Hu Yibo's jaw, meanwhile, does something structural, and his mouth attempts 3 different openings, a scoff, a question, an offer, and completes none of them. The appraiser asks if Sir would like to open a platinum account. Sir would. Sir would like that very much. At this counter, at this speed, in this company, every city needs cooks. I agree on the way out, warmly, like a blessing. And then home. And this is the part of the day I'd been assembling in my head since the appraiser said the number, because I can't hand Ama 30 million Sengertoa, she'd faint, then interrogate, then worry herself gray about what her boy did for it. So I hand her 100,000 and change, crumpled convincingly, and tell her I got lucky selling mountain herbs to a collector. Herbs. She holds the money like it might evaporate, and then, I knew this was coming, tries to hand it back because you'll need it for the academy. The academy is expensive, and we have a 15-minute war on the doorstep that I win only by invoking the sacred rule that gifts to your mother cannot be returned. The sponsor's been dead 2 years. The heating bill exists. Take the money, Ma. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, a diplomatic summit. Ama meets my new pet, little Jew, shoulder-sized and on her best behavior for about 9 seconds, discovers Ama's egg noodles, the plain ones, E+ talent, 40 kids worth of practice, and inhales the entire pot with a sound like a drain, achieving enlightenment. Ama, instead of screaming about the scaly thing on her counter, lights up and starts making more. She's too thin. Look at her little face. To words never before applied to a holy dragon, little Jew mid-noodle decides on the spot that this small human ranks somewhere above me and just below food itself. I stand in that kitchen doorway watching my 2 mothers, the one who raised me and the one I'm raising, and something in my chest does a slow, dangerous, warm thing. This is the thing all the levels are for. Anyone who ever wants to threaten it should first check what happened to the last 5 people who tried my exam day. Anning Square, converted into a stadium, gates, stands, giant projection screens, and every 18-year-old in the city plus their entire extended families. The entrance exam here isn't essays, it's a dungeon gauntlet. Broadcast live, and the score decides which academies will fistfight over you. The favorites parade like it's a red carpet. Tian Jinming, Holy Spirit Mage, hair by sponsorship. Hao Yibo, my friend from the exchange, radiant in radiant night gear and pretending not to see me. Xiong Shuang, Punisher Archer, already giving interviews. And all 3 of them, in the hour before gates open, take turns at Suro because a top-tier priestess multiplies any team's score, and hers is the last free slot in the city. It's a bidding war conducted at conversational volume for maximum audience. Wu Yibo leads with equipment, a matched set of blessed gear, family forge. Obviously, we'd cover your enchantments. Xiong Shuang offers position, his family's guild, guaranteed officer track, think past the exam, and Tian Jinming goes over the top of both with the confidence of a man reading from a script only he received. Their families have discussed things, certain understandings exist, a betrothal-shaped word is implied at a volume calibrated for the nearest 30 people. Su Rao listens to all 3 with the professional smile of a girl who has been auctioned at parties since age 6 and has opinions about it. Su Rao, in front of all of them and 2 live cameras, walks across the square to where I'm standing alone and says, "Captain, orders." The square's collective gasp could power a small turbine. The commentary starts instantly. She's joking. It's charity. The heiress has lost it. That's the kook. And Hao Yibo laughs, the special laugh of a man storing this up to enjoy at my funeral. Let them, my teammate, buffed a hell dungeon party through a goblin apocalypse. I'll take her over 3 sponsored haircuts any day of the week. One more figure I should mention, because he matters later. The chief supervisor of this exam, seated in the judge's box like a sheathed weapon. Liu Bin, star-slaying sword saint, an actual 3rd-tier powerhouse, level 65, which which in this city is like finding out your driving examiner commands a fleet. Disciple of Zhang Xiaosen, the man the whole country calls the King of Hell, who personally designs these exam dungeons for maximum educational cruelty. Liu Bin looks profoundly bored. Remember that expression. I'm about to spend an afternoon dismantling it. My exam dungeon, Earth Tomb Maze, 6 floors down, difficulty selectable, score multiplied accordingly. There's a whole strategy meta about picking normal difficulty and speed running it clean. I select Hell. The registration officer asks me twice. Hell difficulty slaps a debuff on you at the door, minus 30% to every stat, all 6 floors. And no examinee in Anning City history has taken it. The projection screens dutifully announce my choice to the whole square, complete with my name, class, and talent grade, and the laughter rolls around the stands like a wave at a sports match. The cook picked Hell. Somebody's grandmother is having the best day of her year. In the judge's box, Liu Bin's eyebrow moves 1 millimeter. It's a start. At the gate, I give Suru her orders as promised. Buff me, then stay in the entry chamber. All 6 floors are mine. That's not how teams. You set all my orders. She stacks 4 blessings on me with the sulk of a professional being benched. And to be fair to her, this is me being kind. What's about to happen downstairs shouldn't have witnesses standing too close to the blast radius, even friendly ones. Floor 1 hands me 100 zombies in a burial hall, plus a poison fog thick enough to chew. The fog's the real exam. It eats health faster than the dead do. On the stands, they're watching a cook with a debuff walk into it alone. Here's what the stands see, according to people who described it to me later with their hands shaking, and I've cross-checked it against my own memory of the inside. They see my sword leave my hand on a wire-thin thread, an old assassin's trick I practiced until my fingers bled, the blade whipping through the hall in scything orbits while I steer from the center like a man conducting an orchestra of one very angry instrument. They see me vault off a sarcophagus, flick 3 alchemical grenades into the densest knots of dead, and drop a purification bomb into the fog's source vent because I read the floor's gimmick off the airflow in the first 5 seconds. Cooking teaches you about airflow. Nobody believes me when I say that. 30 seconds. Floor 1 cleared, fog and all. In the judge's box, again reported to me later, Liu Bin leans forward and asks nobody in particular, "That's your useless Dragon Tamer?" Floor 2 greets me with 500 dead, steel zombies, cursed zombies, armored knight zombies, level 18 apiece, packed into a cathedral-sized crypt. 500. There's a limit to what a sword on a string does against 500, and everyone watching knows it, and the stands settle in to watch the cook meet his ceiling. I stop in the middle of the crypt and draw the summoning circle. Little Jew, work mode? She comes up out of the light at her full 10 meters, wings brushing the crypt walls, and on every screen above Anning Square, in glorious broadcast resolution, 400,000 people simultaneously see a holy dragon stretch her neck and yawn at 500 zombies like a commuter looking at a full inbox. The square goes silent in a way crowds almost never do. Not a scream silence. The other one, the church one, I'm told about the individual reactions later, and I treasure the collection. Hu Yibo, watching from the candidate's pen, dropping a drink he'd been holding for 20 minutes. My old classmates locating each other across the stands with expressions of shared historical guilt. A recruiter from some academy fainting backward, which takes commitment. And an entire section of parents simultaneously turning to their combat class children with a look that would fuel a decade of family therapy. That could have been your classmate Sweetie, if anyone in this city had been nice to him. One breath, a river of white gold firewall to wall, and floor 2 is a kiln. The zombies don't fight it, they're just punctuation in it. When she's done, there's nothing below the waist-high char line but architecture, and my damage meter has a number in it that the exam scoring system flags, I kid you not, as a suspected error. Floor 3 throws me a labyrinth, a shifting stone maze designed to bleed hours off my time, while wraiths pick at you around blind corners. Classic time tax floor. The intended counter is careful mapping, thread markers, patience. Little Jew, strength form, straight line. She shifts, muscle stacking onto muscle, the maze's corridor suddenly fitting her like a sleeve fits a forearm, and then my dragon simply walks through the labyrinth, not through the corridors, through the labyrinth. Wall, 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 in one continuous demolition, 10 seconds of masonry apocalypse and daylight gray dust, and behind us a maze that is now, structurally speaking, a plaza. Somewhere in the judge's box, a proctor whispers, "Can she do that?" And Liu Bin, already 3 phone calls deep to the provincial capital, answers she just did. Floor 4's elite, A giant sewn zombie, level 21, 3-star gold, a stitched together horror, the height of a building, gets exactly 1 slap. I want to dress it up for you, but that's the whole fight. Destructive flame claw, 1 swing, and the seams that held it together become the seams it comes apart along. Little Ju inspects her claw afterward like a woman checking a manicure. In the judge's box, meanwhile, Lubin has stopped being a supervisor and become a scholar. He's seen the fire breath, the strength form, the divine fire flight mode, and now the claw technique, and he's counting on his fingers, out loud, to a box full of officials pretending they aren't eavesdropping. 4 distinct combat forms, each one specialized, each one complete. Grown dragons in the old records had 1. Then he says the sentence that gets quoted in every classified appendix afterward. Gentlemen, that's not a beast on that boy's team. That's a full battle formation with a heartbeat. Floor 5 stops pretending I'm in a tomb and becomes a battlefield, a pocket world, open sky, 10 elites, and 2,000 zombies arrayed against me like an army. Whoever designed this floor, hello, King of Hell, meant it as the wall no examinee climbs. You're supposed to survive it, not solve it. Divine fire form, sky. She goes up like a launched cathedral, catches the thermals, and turns the pocket world sky into a bombing corridor. Fireballs the size of houses walked across the enemy formation in neat professional lines, while I stroll the ground floor executing anything that crawls out of a crater. It is not an exam, it is an air show with a body count. 2,000 dead again dead in the time it takes the stands above to run out of ways to gasp. And then floor 6, my throne floor, though it doesn't know that yet, the tyrant undead. Level 30, 5-star gold, an emperor from some dynasty, old enough to predate the game merge, buried with his entire court, 10,000 skeleton soldiers, ranked and armored, plus the glowing spirits of his ministers still bowing at his throne after centuries. He rises off that throne with an aura called Emperor's Courage that makes armies unbreakable, and his hollow voice starts some proclamation about mortals and dust. The thing about Emperor's Courage, which I read off the panel while he monologues, it runs on the troops' morale, which is fed by their fear of him being the scariest thing in the room. Little Ju, I say, be the scariest thing in the room. She lands in front of his army and lets them feel what she is. Full supreme pressure, holy dragon, top of every food chain that ever existed, and 10,000 skeletons who have obeyed one master through 10 centuries of death all flinch at once. The Emperor feels his own aura sputter like a candle in a doorway. There is genuine outrage on his ancient face. Then Little Ju, at her most economical, simply stomps. The shockwave alone converts his front ranks into an ossuary. He tries the big red button, advanced rebirth, a full resurrection with a shockwave of dark fire, the mechanic that's supposed to wipe exhausted parties at their moment of triumph. She stomps again, clear time, all 6 floors, hell difficulty, 12 minutes, 56 seconds, rating, SSS. On every axis, the exam measures all combat, tactics, speed, survival, SSS, a rating so far off this exam's usual chart that the system prints it in a color I've never seen it use. I ride the platform back up into a square that has completely forgotten how to be a crowd. 400,000 people, and the loudest sound is camera shutters. Suro meets me at the gate with an expression that's halfway between I knew it and what have I teamed up with. Liu Bin descends from the judge's box personally, a star-slaying sword saint walking across the square to a fresh examinee, while every academy recruiter in the stands takes notes at felony speed. Up close, the boredom is long dead. What's replaced it is the specific hunger of a swordsman who's just watched the future show up early. Number 1 in the city, he says, isn't the conversation anymore. You're going to test number 1 in the province, then lower with the full weight of a 3rd-tier aura behind it, and every feed of those 6 floors is now sealed as a provincial secret. Anyone who leaks the dragon before the academies settle your protection answers to me, personally. Bless him. He thinks the dragon needs hiding, as if she'd agreed to be a secret for long. The exam claims its reminder of what world I live in on the way out. 2 gates down, a candidate's run ends the way runs end here. The screen's cut away, the announcer's voice goes flat, and a family in the stands starts screaming, died live, on his own difficulty, at his own ceiling. The square observes a heartbeat of silence, and then keeps moving, because this city sends its children into tombs every year and calls it Tuesday. I hold Little Ju's summoning crystal a little tighter, and add one more line to the ledger of reasons I'm never, ever going to be weak here. My aftermath is comedy from 3 directions at once. Hao Yibo, who scraped a decent score and has been waiting at the exit specifically to enjoy me, opens with, "Tough luck in there, cook." Hell difficulty, "What were you thinking?" right as the preliminary board updates over his head. He reads it upside down in my expression first, then turns around. I watch the radiant knight read my clear time 4 times, like the number might wear out and change. Tian Jinming is mid-interview about his own Floor 4 heroics, 22 minutes on A+ difficulty, when the recruiters around him just migrate. The whole flock, mid-question, drifting past him toward me like iron filings discovering a better magnet. His sentence dies in the open air. Sheng Shuang says the quiet thing out loud for all three of them. We're not the top scorers. No, you're not. And the city makes it official with a generosity that has Liu Bin's fingerprints all over it. A reward ceremony, public, televised, held high, and I checked the paperwork twice to confirm the universe was really doing this for me in the same hall as the job change ceremony. 1 month later, same stage, same seating. So let me give you the sequel to the scene that started all this. Same hall. Same crowd, more or less, the families, the teachers, the classmates, everyone who got a good laugh out of the cooking talent and his extinct pet class. Except now there's a banner with my name on it, and the city's leadership is on stage arranging its faces, and the principal, the man who sprinted down the aisle for my dragon phantom and then let his whole hall enjoy research value. Hai and Re has to stand at the podium, clear his throat into the microphone, and deliver on the record to the orphan cook. On behalf of this institution, our assessment of student Chin Fan was insufficiently thorough. We apologize, and we are proud. The rest drowns in applause. He has to stand there and endure. The Class 1 teacher of the 6 combat classes and the At Least Dinners Covered presents me with flowers because someone with a sense of humor assigned the presentations. Up close, handing me the bouquet, she manages quietly. The dinner comment. I was accurate, I say, taking the flowers. I cook every night. Family of 2. She does not know what to do with that, which is fine. The kid 2 rows behind my old seat, slime pencil case, I remember him, leads a chant of my name. Zhao Li, my homeroom teacher, the one who tightened her jaw and said nothing because there was nothing to say, cries openly in the front row, and her I hug. The material half, 2 A-grade skill books, 30 million in prize funds, a villa deed, and a set of ceremonial armor I will never wear because it clashes with being underestimated. My system, of course, has been running its own tally. My challenge mission closes out with the smugness of a slot machine I own. Performance grade, exceptional, issuing rewards. 150,000 experience, level 22, just like that. A title, Dragon's Majesty, plus 300 to every stat while my dragon fights beside me. And a slag heap of loot with 1 gem in it. A heavenly fire, divine essence, S grade, the exact bloodline food a blazing holy dragon dreams about. I hand it over the moment we're home. Little Jew takes 1 reverent sniff, downs it like a shot of something ancient, glows from the inside, hits level 12 with stats in the 2000s, and then gets visibly, undeniably tipsy, wing drunk. She does 1 slow lap of the courtyard on the ground, walking like a rug someone is shaking, hiccups a smoke ring, and passes out in the vegetable garden with a smile I can only describe as blissful. Named her correctly. No regrets. My victory feast is at the orphanage, obviously. I show up with a convoy, 20 antelopes, 20 pigs, 20 unicorn rabbits, and a spirit chef profession itching for its first real service. I cook for 6 hours. The kids eat buffed food until 3 of them level up from dessert. Amma cries twice and pretends it's the onions both times. And little Jew, hungover, which I didn't know dragons could be, recovers via a therapeutic 40 pounds of barbecue and falls asleep under the table with 2 7-year-olds, using her as a sofa. Final results post a week later, and I read my own line 4 times. Chin Fan, Anning City, provincial rank, first, 862 points. The second place in the entire province of Nanzhou is 200 points behind me. The interviews ambush Suru outside her family compound. Microphones out. What's her relationship with the mysterious number 1? What? And Suru, heiress of the Su family, top 20 herself, looks straight into the camera with her father probably aneurysming somewhere off screen and says, I have feelings for him, that's all. That's all, she says. The clip breaks the provincial net in 4 hours. Then comes my recruiting season, and I learn what it feels like to be a limited edition sneaker. 19 universities send delegations to my orphanage. There are men in 10,000 credit suits drinking Amma's barley tea out of chipped mugs, sitting on furniture donated a decade ago. Bidding. Dongling University opens at 100 million plus 3 A-grade skill books. Someone counters with staff residency for my family members, plural, eyebrow raised delicately at the 40 children in the yard. The numbers climb all week like they're on a quest chain of their own. And then Fengtian Academy sends Hyalan, vice dean, niece of the principal, sharp the way surgical steel is sharp, and the only recruiter who did actual homework, because she doesn't open with money. She opens with, our campus contains the Dragon Spirit secret realm, herbs that haven't grown anywhere else since the dragons vanished. She knows. Liu Bin's provincial seal held officially, but a woman like this reads between redactions for breakfast. 200 million a year, S-grade skill books, and a private realm full of the only food on this continent that grows dragons. She sets down her cup. Your move, young Master Chin. My system, which has strong opinions about my education apparently, weighs in with the subtlety of a brick. A bonus quest drops into my lap mid-negotiation. Enroll at Fengtian Academy, and my reward is a random dragon egg, a second dragon, a second 20% dividend into my bloodstream forever because bloodline fusion stacks. I keep my negotiating face on for exactly as long as it takes to sign. When the paperwork's done, I let Little Jew out of stealth mode as a courtesy, shoulder size, and watch 18 other delegations, age 5 years, in 1 second. The dongling man makes a sound like a punctured tire. Somewhere behind me, I hear a recruiter whisper the offer he'd been authorized to make and wasn't fast enough to say. Yalan just smiles the smile of a woman whose homework has paid off with interest. Suro's enrolling at Fengtian 2. Her father wanted her at a family-allied academy, and for the first recorded time in Su family history, the heiress vetoed him. I hear the argument lasted 3 days. I hear the word him featured heavily. I do not investigate further for my own structural safety. Now, while I pack, let me introduce a problem I don't know I have yet. I'll piece all this together later from He Yalan's files and my own collisions with the man. Elsewhere in this country, there's a young man named Bai Wushuang, heir of the Bai family, old money, older ambitions, and the nation's celebrated genius, Beast Tamer, level 25, bonded to a 4-winged wind thunder dragon. Not a holy dragon, not a pureblood, a magic beast dragon, but a real flying, storm-breathing dragon nonetheless, which in a world where dragons are extinct makes him functionally a national treasure. The price tag on that treasure, 7 Bai family experts, level 50 and up, died capturing it for him. 7 professionals' lives spent so one heir could be crowned the Dragon Prince. This week, I'm told, Bai Wushuang reads the provincial exam bulletins and finds at the top of Nanzhou my name and the words, Class Dragon Tamer. Somewhere in a manner I've never seen, a teacup stops halfway to a mouth. His family bled to make him the only dragon in the sky, and some orphan in a border city just claimed the same throne off a ceremony stone for free. We're going to get along great. My egg arrives the night the enrollment confirms. Pale blue, frost patterns crawling the shell, cold burning to my touch, and unlike her sister, this one doesn't haggle, doesn't even wait. 3 nights before we leave for the academy, the temperature in my room drops 20 degrees at 2 in the morning. My breath comes out as fog, and the egg hatches itself on its own schedule, like everything else this creature will ever do. I'm awake for it because you don't sleep through a season change happening indoors. Frost crawls up my bedroom window from the inside, my breath turns to fog over my own bed, and by the time I reach the egg's nest crate, the shell has gone from pale blue to lit from within, patterns rotating across it like a slow kaleidoscope of snowflakes, and the room is rearranging, every drop of moisture in the air organizing itself into hanging crystal, my water glass growing a chandelier. Little Ju pads in, takes one look, and sits down at a respectful distance with her tail wrapped, which from her is a formal salute. The shell doesn't crack. It opens, seams appearing along the frost patterns and folding back petal by petal, unhurried like the occupant checked the weather and approved it first. Frost Holy Dragon. Title, Lord of Winter, female. Level 1, stats in the 300s, 3 S-grade skills and an AI, and one of those skills stops my heart mid-read, Frost Domain. A kilometer-wide field where everything that isn't hers loses 70% of its stats. 70% in a kilometer at level 1, but the numbers aren't the introduction. The introduction is that this tiny ice-white hatchling, 30 seconds old, examines her surroundings like a health inspector examines me longest of all and conveys, wordlessly, with the total assurance of born aristocracy, that she has reviewed the household staff and found it acceptable. Me, the staff, her whole bearing is princess in exile, and the exile part is negotiable. Then Little Ju barrels in, sniffs her sister once, and short-circuits the entire monarchy by licking her from tail to crown like a stamp. The princess's dignity fights for its life. The princess's dignity loses. Within an hour, the Lord of Winter is asleep in the warm curve of the endless Fire Master's belly, frost and flame in one basket, and I'm sitting there in my ruined bedroom at 3 in the morning, outnumbered, outclassed, and grinning like an idiot. I name her Ching Han, Little Han, and Bloodline Fusion purrs as the second dividend stream comes online, because a 5th of a Lord of Winter now runs in my blood next to a 5th of an endless Fire Master, and both of them are level 1, and neither of them will stay that way. My trip to the academy is my first teleport gate, one door in Anning City, one nauseating heartbeat of elsewhere, and then Longdu, the provincial capital, where Fengtian Academy spreads across its own mountain range like a city that ate a national park. The scale recalibrates me fast. The weakest sophomore here is level 40. The gate guards are level 40. I'm the provincial #1 and I'm below the landscaping staff. Hiyalin gives me the tour personally, which I will later understand is her staking a claim in full view of the other deans. Top 50 freshmen get villas. Villa #1 goes to the top-ranked freshman on the default board, which computed off entrance scores is me. It's bigger than the orphanage. The fridge is industrial. She watched me measure the fridge before the training rooms and made exactly one note in her folder. Told you. Homework. And before I've unpacked a single box, ding. Quest issued. Take first place in the Fengtian Academy freshman entrance examination. Reward. Legendary chest ×1. Diamond chest ×1. Failure penalty. One random A-grade skill will be deleted. I stop. Mid-fridge. Run that back. Deleted? The system's been a lot of things. Late, dramatic, suspiciously invested in my grocery bills, but it's never threatened repossession before. First at the city exam was a dare. First at Fengtian, against every handpicked genius in 4 provinces on their turf. With a penalty clause, the system isn't rewarding me anymore. It's raising me, and apparently we've hit the tough love chapter. Opening ceremony, and I get my first full census of the competition. 10,000 freshmen in one amphitheater, and the vice principal on the dais is Willow Bo Ming, level 90, 4th tier space mage. A man who could fold this entire audience into a pocket dimension if the speeches run long, and who looks like he's considering it. Around me in the reserved front row sits the menu of my new problems by Wushuang, the Dragon Prince himself in white and silver, giving me a stare with 7 funerals of family investment behind it. Fang Tyron, top of Dongling's intake, a sword fanatic whose aura keeps nicking the furniture. Zhu Niannian, chaos mage, elf-blooded, top of Xianyi, currently reading an actual snack menu. And Luo Hao, Fengtian's own favorite son, a berserker built like a public monument, who happens to be Suro's other childhood friend. She has a collection, apparently. Then the default rankings post above the dais, #1 by entrance examination score. Qinfan, Anning City. The amphitheater does not take it well. 10,000 gifted children, each raised on the words, "You're special," reading my border town cook's name above all of theirs. The buzz has a temperature, and it takes less than a minute to condense into one volunteer. Chen Wei, ranked 12th, an assassin class from Fengtian's own feeder school, who vaults onto the dueling stage and points at me with the entitlement of a man returning a defective product. Default rankings are an insult. Fight me for the seat, villager. 5,000 credits says you don't last 10 seconds. 10 seconds. He's an assassin, level parity, and he's already flickering with precast shadow steps. In the stands, the smart money isn't on me, and honestly, the smart money has a point. Nobody here saw the sealed exam feeds. All they know is my talent grade and my haircut. I climb the stage, and I leave the sword at my seat. This part matters, so picture it honestly. He moves first, and he's genuinely fast. Shadow strike into a mirrored feint into backstab, textbook execution. The triple tap that made him 12th out of 10,000. It's a good combo. It's also the slowest thing I've watched since I started sparring dragons. I let the feint pass my ear, so the crowd gets its gasp. Then I put one fist at maybe a third of what the top gene potion and 2 dragon dividends have made of me into the space his ribs are about to occupy. He's asleep before he lands. 10 seconds was in fairness an accurate estimate. He just had the direction wrong. In the resulting silence, I collect his 5,000 credits off the stage where they fell because Dragon Feed isn't free, and I look out at 10,000 recalculating faces and give them the good news. Default rankings are an insult. I agree. The exam will fix it. The week before that exam delivers me 2 pieces of weather. The first one stings. Team registration opens, and Suro comes to find me at my villa with an expression I haven't seen on her before. The pressed flat one, the daughter of a dynasty one. Her father has spoken. The Su family's business runs through the Luo family's territory. Luo Hao is Fengtian's golden son, and the heiress will be joining the golden son's team for the freshman exam because that is what alliances look like. I tried, she says, and I believe her. 3-day arguments only buy so many vetoes a year. Behind her, at a distance calibrated to be noticed, Luo Hao watches with the serene patience of a man whose family always gets the shipment eventually. When I ask if there's a slot left on their roster anyway, mostly out of curiosity about the choreography, the answer comes back through a teammate, smooth as customer service. Team's full. Of course it is. Different circles, I tell her, and I mean it without heat. Her circle has board meetings. Mine eats 400 pounds of meat a day. Speaking of which, the second piece of weather is my grocery bill. 2 growing holy dragons burn through 200 pounds of premium monster meat daily. That's 6,000 credits and change every single day. And the academy stipend that looked princely on paper lasts 11 days. I do the math at the kitchen table twice, hoping I carried A1 wrong somewhere. I did not. The provincial number 1, the 200 million signing bonus, paid in yearly installments because Hiyalin is sharp, the villa with the industrial fridge. And I am cash flow wise, a man sprinting in front of an avalanche made of my daughter's appetites. Little Han pushes her empty bowl toward me with one claw, elegantly, like ringing for service. Little Ju just eats the bowl, so income. And at Fangtian, income for students means one thing, the Secret Realm Hall, the Academy's dungeon complex, where clears pay out in loot and credits. I look down the dungeon list to the Platinum tier, level 20 to 25 recommended, full party content, hell difficulty toggle available. The Registrar, a kind sophomore, triple confirms that I understand solo and Platinum hell don't belong in one sentence, then watches me put them in one sentence anyway, then leans out of her booth to watch me walk off. The way you watch someone carry a ladder toward a power line. Demon Tiger Forest, Platinum, Hell Mode, Solo, me, door debuff, minus 30% everything. Occupants, Demon Tigers, level 20s, single star platinum elites, the kind of cats that eat freshman parties as a food group. I bring the newborn. Look, Little Han is level 1, I'm aware. Her stat line is level 1 only, in the sense that a bank vault is technically a box. First pack of tigers comes through the trees, 10 of them coordinated, and my tiny frost princess steps daintily off my shoulder, shakes out her wings, and unfolds her domain. A kilometer of forest exhales one long breath of white. Frost crawls up the trees like the world is being asked a question it can't answer, and inside that kilometer, 10 platinum tigers instantly lose 70% of everything they are. What follows is 10 very large, very confused house cats moving at the speed of regret, and one level 1 hatchling walking among them like winter doing its rounds. She doesn't rage like her sister. She administrates. A touch here, a breath there, unhurried, and the pack that eats parties is a sculpture garden. Then little Joe, who has been waiting with theatrical patience, goes divine fire and burns the back half of the map while her sister's domain holds the front, and the whole forest, the whole dungeon is done in 2 minutes, 32 seconds. The previous solo record was 7:42, set by a sophomore who is, I'm told, locally famous for it. We do 2 more platinum dungeons the same afternoon, same recipe, records, and all 3, all SSS. The loot pays for a month of groceries and then some, 300,000 experience, a teleport skill called Divine Flash, 3,000 meter blinks, my new favorite thing, and an A-grade talent, demon breaking eyes that reads enemy weak points like ingredient labels. On the way out, flush with victory, I buy a good axe for chopping monster bones down to stock size, 2,000 credits, professional grade. Little Ju eats it in the parking lot. The axe. She eats the axe, not the meat, the tool. Apparently the metal smelled like the good rocks. 2,000 credits gone in 4 crunches, and she looks up mid-swallow with the innocent face of a child who is about to be a line item. This is my life now. My daughters have a food budget and a hardware budget. Now the part I couldn't see because it was happening in 3 other dungeons at once. Every genius team on campus was running platinum that same afternoon. Lo Hao's team, Bai Wushuang's team, Shu Nianian's team, all of them hit the same wall in different rooms. A mid-boss combo that poisons the healers with something called memory poison, scrambles the support line, and forces a retreat. All 3 teams wipe out of their runs. The Dragon Prince himself walks out with a failed clear. So when I emerge from my 3rd dungeon of the day at the 21-minute mark of total elapsed time, having taken a snack break between runs because Little Han insists on civilized intervals, the plaza outside the Secret Realm Hall is wall-to-wall geniuses in a foul mood, and they see the villager cook slink out of the platinum wing. The laughter is immediate and grateful. Nothing heals a failed run like someone else failing harder. 21 minutes and he's leaving. Didn't even last. Chen Wei, awake again, memory conveniently edited, is loudest. Then some helpful senior pulls up the record board on the plaza hologram to check the day's standings, and the laughter dies of natural causes. Demon Tiger Forest, Kun Fan 232 SSS, Howling Cave, Kun Fan 315 SSS, 3rd dungeon, Kun Fan 242 SSS, solo. All three all-time records set in one afternoon by the name at the top of the default rankings while every celebrated team on campus was wiping to a poison mechanic. The plaza's silence is my favorite kind, the kind you can spread on toast. Chen Wei, and you have to respect the commitment to the bit, plants himself in my path and announces that the records are obviously forged, that the board's been hacked, that I should be investigated. He's still building to his big finish when both my shoulders warm up at once. See, my daughters have opinions about people who yell at their staff. Little Zhao spits a coin of fire. Little Han contributes a dime of frost. Two tiny projectiles, barely skill grade, and Chen Wei experiences the novel sensation of being simultaneously scorched and flash frozen, a dessert technique ironically, and sits down without meaning to, smoking gently from one shoulder, frosted at the other, unconscious in the specific way of a man whose week has now featured me twice. 10,000 students learn a new fact that evening. The villagers' little pets cast instantly, no incantation, no cast bar, no charge up. Mage duelists build entire careers trying to shave casting time, and the lizards on the cook's shoulders just skip that stat. The forum thread hits 500 pages before curfew. My favorite reply, verbatim, if the pets are like this, what is he feeding them? Antelope, mostly, and one axe. My dungeon spree settles into numbers I can feel in my teeth. I've gone from 22 to 28, little Jews at 19 with stats in the 4,000s, little hands climbing 11 with nearly 2. New toys from the loot pool, a 15% lifesteal passive called King of Conquerors, an A+ Frostbreath for Little Han's arsenal, and the Crown Jewel fast casting S-, which makes every spell I ever learn instant. The family that casts instantly together stays together. Selling my leftover loot produces my favorite kind of scene, pure farce. The campus pawn quarter is run by seniors, and the stall I pick is staffed by a pleasant third year named Xiao Noya, who is halfway through appraising my haul when a yellow-haired individual with an entourage shoulders in, sweeps my items off the counter, and announces that the good stalls serve important people first. Ma Qingfeng, second young master of the Ma family, I learned shortly, a man whose entire personality is his brother's reputation. Here's the thing, I've been in this world 7 years, but I read novels in my last one, and there is a law older than both worlds. When a yellow-haired young master knocks your loot off a counter, the plot requires a response. It's not even anger, it's genre compliance. My hand does the paperwork before my brain files it. One flat palm, a sound like a wet textbook closing, and Ma Qingfeng is horizontal across his own entourage. The stall goes silent. Xiao Noya looks at the heap of unconscious nepotism, then at me, and I look right back at her and say with total conviction, he was like that when I got here. Everyone saw. Senior, I would never, I'm a cook. I settle for 60,000 credits on the loot, tip her generously for emotional damages, and leave before causality reasserts itself. Behind me, I can hear her explaining to the entourage with rising panic that she is not responsible for her customers. A good woman will be doing business again. The Ma family posts a 100 million credit bounty on the freshman who assaulted young master Ma by dinner time, which does wonders for my celebrity and nothing at all for their dignity, since the forum immediately splits into people claiming the bounty is fake and people asking if it can be claimed in installments. Meanwhile, the original thread, Queen Fan Records, forged or not, has become a war economy of its own. Half the campus thinks I hacked the board. The other half was in the plaza. The two halves are not speaking. The academy's answer to all of it lands officially stamped and sealed. The freshman examination is moved up to tomorrow, and a new dungeon has been added to the roster, the Imperial Underground Laboratory, Diamond Grade, level 20 to 35, a dungeon with a distinction the bulletin states in bold. No solo clear has ever been recorded. Not slow solo clears. None. The deans might as well have addressed the memo to me personally. Prove it where forging is impossible. Villager on a stage. Nobody has ever survived alone. Bai Wushuang reposts the bulletin with one line. Tomorrow, we see the truth of Nanzhu. His fans supply 40 pages of dragon emojis. My daughters, informed of the stakes, react as follows. Little Jew eats my laptop, the whole laptop, mid-form scroll, citing the same mineral appeal as the axe, and little Han, refusing to be outdone in property damage, freezes the refrigerator. Freezes it from outside. It's a machine whose only job is cold, and she committed to making it redundant. I go to bed a man whose net worth is climbing and whose possessions are dropping, which shouldn't be possible in the same ledger. Oh, and he Yalin stops by with paperwork and an apology. My signing bonus S-grade skill books are delayed 3 months, requisitioned by the frontlines, and in compensation she hands over something called Chain of Life, S-grade, which links me to my dragon so that 80% of any damage I take splits across them. Given that their combined health pool is a small nation's, this makes hurting me a rounding error. She calls it an apology. I call it the best late late fee in academic history. Exam morning. My proving ground, the Imperial Underground Laboratory, gets projected onto every screen on campus. An abandoned pre-merge research complex. 3 floors of security constructs and escaped experiments, capped by a boss chamber that has ended every solo attempt in recorded history. The examinees run it one by one and in teams, scored on clear depth and time. Top geniuses are level 30 to 33 now. The stands fill with the entire student body because yesterday's forum war is about to be settled by camera. They send me in solo, which suits everyone. The believers get their proof, the doubters get their execution, and Bai Wuxuang gets a front row seat. What the cameras show, floor by floor, is this, and I enjoy the recordings later more than I enjoyed the run. Floor 1, the feeds go white, not dead, white. A blizzard indoors, wall to wall, Little Han's domain turned up to full for the first time since hatching, and somewhere inside the whiteout, the security constructs targeting arrays report 0 valid targets at 70% reduced everything until, one by one, they stop reporting at all. Floor 2, the feeds go orange, then go dead, and the technical note, read aloud, later says the cameras were rated to survive a level 45 mage's area spells, but not quote, whatever that was. Little Ju says hello. Floor 3, the boss chamber, the graveyard of every solo run in history. Exactly 1 camera survives on a far wall, and what it shows the stands is no fight at all. It shows the aftermath. 2 boss-class monsters already down, a mechanical minotaur king in pieces, and an alien queen, frosted mid-lunge, Onotria. And 1 freshman standing in the middle, checking the loot drops like a man reading receipts. My clear time, 2 minutes, 7 seconds. My rating, SSS. First solo clear in the dungeon's history at a pace that beats the fastest 8-man team record by 6 minutes. I walk out into sunlight and hear a sound I've never heard before. Several deans arguing at full volume in public. They're arguing about me. Combat Academy claims priority. Magic Academy cites precedent. Someone from Beast Studies is being physically restrained, and the argument is happening in front of the assembled student body, which is doing the group mind arithmetic between yesterday's thread and today's cameras. Forged that, did I? Behind me over the next hour, the rest of the intake drains through the same dungeon in teams, and the dungeon reminds everyone why it had no solo record. The boss pair's signature move summons 50,000 lesser constructs at half health, an army in a can that grinds even genius teams to the exit. Squads limp out, stretchers feature. Then Bai Wuxuang emerges, solo 8 minutes 52, no dragon even deployed for the cameras. A genuinely spectacular run that would have been the story of the decade in any year I wasn't enrolled. And he emerges talking, chin up, gloves off finger by finger, addressing the stands but aiming every word at me where I'm leaning on the exit rail. 8:52, solo, let the record show what a real tamer's discipline produces, not carnival tricks and hacked leaderboards. Where's our number 1? Still inside calling for help. His fan section eats it up. He's magnificent, honestly, in the way of a man delivering a victory speech while standing under a piano on a fraying rope. Then he walks straight into the scoreboard. Qin Fan, 207, SSS, Bai Wuxuang, 852, Lo Hao, 3rd. I watch the Dragon Prince read the board. I know the 4 reads technique from Hu Yibo. Bai Wuxuang is a faster study. He only needs 2 before his face closes like a ledger. Behind him, the stands are chanting fraud again, 5,000 voices strong, because a public that has just watched the impossible will always prefer to renegotiate reality than update it. The dean's solution to the chanting reaches me by loudspeaker, and I find it beautiful. Dissatisfied students may register their complaints. On the dueling arena, open challenges, effective immediately. 8 names register within the hour. Chen Wei, 3rd time, undefeated at losing. Ma Qingfeng, fresh from horizontal. Luo Tao, He Yuan Yuan, and 4 more from the genius entourages, a full sampler platter of everyone whose ranking I've inconvenienced. The forum dubs it the Villager Correction Committee. 8 of them, 1 of me. The arena posts it for the following afternoon like a matinee. Good. I check the Dragon's meal schedule and it fits. We'll be done before dinner. The arena the next afternoon is sold out for me, which for a school venue means 20,000 students, a dean's box, and I spot her in the 3rd row and pretend I don't tree. Su Ro, sitting apart from Luo Hao's block, arms folded. The correction committee wants sequential duels, 8 matches spread over the afternoon, maximum humiliation mileage per fight. I walk to center stage, look at the 8 of them warming up in the challenger's gate, and make a counter offer into the arena's amplification array. All of you at once. I'm in a hurry. The referee actually asks me to repeat it, so the arena hears it twice. 1 versus 7, Ma Ching-feng, it turns out, withdrew this morning citing injury. The injury is me, and the crowd's roar has that carnival edge of people who don't care who bleeds as long as somebody does. They come at me coordinated, credit where due. 2 shield bearers to pin me, casters behind, Chen Wei ghosting my flank for his beloved backstab, and for the first 5 seconds it must look like a real fight because I stand still and let their opening develop like a photograph. Then demon-breaking eyes lights every weak point in my vision. Hinge of a knee brace, gap in a pauldron, a caster's focus crystal held 4 degrees too low, and fast casting does the thing that broke the forum. Roar of Ice Dragon, no incantation, no cast bar, 3 casters, flash freeze, mid-syllable, ice sculptures with confused eyebrows. Chen Wei's backstab meets the space I left via Divine Flash, and my counter meets him. 1 tap, since we're old friends, and he resumes his natural state of horizontal. The shield bearers get Roar of Flame Dragon, which doesn't breach their tower shields so much as convince them shields are a temporary opinion. Both sit down smoking, 7 bodies in 11 seconds, none of them permanent. I turn a slow circle under 20,000 held breaths and ask the stands conversationally, who else? Come all together. I keep saying it, I'm in a hurry. The silence holds for 3 seconds, then a single aura stands up out of the front row and unsheathes Fang Tairan, Dongling's top blade, the sword fanatic, a man whose entire existence is folded around one edge, carrying a golden sword named Azure Phoenix that the forum wiki lists as a National Registry relic. He walks onto the stage through the wreckage of the committee, salutes with the blade, the first respectful gesture anyone's aimed at me on this campus, and says, not for rankings, sword against sword, one-on-one. You know what? I like him. First man in this whole school to skip the politics and just want the fight. I return the salute, hand on my own sword, and that's when the 2 warm spots inside my collar move. See, since the laptop incident, the girls ride to public events tucked inside my jacket, shoulder size, drowsy, officially asleep. But a National Registry golden sword, waved with intent at their father, produces a smell. A mineral smell. The smell connoisseurs will recall of the good rocks. Fang Tairan opens with a horizontal cut that's genuinely beautiful, a stroke he's polished for a decade. It never lands. 2 small shapes launch out of my jacket in a crossing pattern, red from the left collar, white from the right, and there's a sound like 2 bear traps having lunch, then silence. Fang Tairan is standing in perfect follow-through, holding a hilt attached to about a handspan of Azure Phoenix. The rest of the National Registry item is distributed between my daughters, who have returned to my shoulders and are crunching in stereo with their eyes closed in gourmet appreciation. The man looks at his hilt, looks at the dragons, looks at his hilt, and then Fang Tairan, sword fanatic, top blade of Dongling, raises the hand not holding the stump and says with enormous dignity, I surrender. The arena detonates. Somewhere in the press of noise, I hear the phrase that will headline the forum for a week. They ate his sword. And I lean toward my daughters and whisper that relic-grade metal is a sometimes food. 2 pairs of eyes open just enough to convey that they've heard this speech about laptops, axes, and refrigerators, and that the household hierarchy on dietary matters remains unchanged. The Dean's Box, which by this point is less a judging panel than a betting parlor, makes the only call left to make. The loudspeaker crackles. Final challenge round, Lo Hao, Xunyanian by Wu Shuang. All 3, together. The top of Fengtian, the top of Xianye, and the Dragon Prince ganged up by official decree against 1 freshman. The crowd surges, and Bai Wushuang stands up in the box and issues the demand he's been holding since the scoreboard. Not here. This stage is a coin, the Mystic Realm battlefield where my partner can fly. His partner, the storm made flesh. The reason 7 Bai family experts have graves. Now that the whole campus turns out for. The Mystic Realm battlefield is Fengtian's crown venue, a pocket dimension with its own sky, 5 kilometers of floor I'm about to share with the storm spectator galleries hung in the air behind wards. By the time the gates open, there are 50,000 students and half the faculty in the galleries, plus I'm told, feeds running to every academy in 4 provinces. Bai Wushuang doesn't walk in. He descends out of his own private thunderhead, riding between the 4 wings of his dragon. I'll be honest with you, it's a magnificent animal. 50 meters of storm gray muscle, 4 wings shedding static, eyes like weather warnings, Xiao Bai. He named the apocalypse Whitey. There's aristocracy for you. Circles the arena, once so everyone gets the full silhouette, and lands with a crash of thunder purely for theater. Luo Hao hefts a gray tax the size of a door. Shu Nian yawns and puts away her snack menu. The stands look at their 3 champions and their 50-meter dragon, then at me, alone on the arena floor in a jacket with 2 suspicious lumps in it. Even the neutrals wince. I unzip the jacket. The girls tumble out shoulder size, blinking in the arena light. 50,000 people watch two cat-sized lizards stretch, and the laughter starts, nervous at first, then rolling, because the scale is just too absurd. The cook brought his pets to face the storm, and then my daughters look up at Xiaobai, and they decide, together, in that wordless twin channel they share, that they're done being carry-on luggage. They unfold. There's no better verb. Red and white bloom, upward and outward, like the sky is developing an opinion. 30 meters, 60, past 90, wings opening in tears, until two holy dragons stand over the mystic realm battlefield with their heads against the false clouds. Little Jew at over 100 meters of banked furnace gold and crimson. Little Han beside her, white as the inside of an avalanche, frost sublimating off her wings in slow veils. The pressure of their bloodline rolls out across the arena in a tide, and 50,000 people stop making sound of any kind, because everyone in this world has seen pictures of dragons, and every cell of every creature watching knows, in the old animal way that predates pictures, that these are the original, the throne, the thing other dragons are named after. Xiaobai, 50 meters of stormbred apex predator, the terror of 4 provinces, takes one look at what's above him, makes a sound I can only transcribe as a large dog remembering an appointment, and tries to get small, all 4 wings. He tries to fold himself into a smaller dragon. Bai Wushuang screams at him, a command, then a plea, and I give the nod because someone has to end this politely. Little Jew slaps him. Open paw, measured, the exact motion I use on her when she reaches for my plate, scaled up 10,000%. The sound arrives twice, once through the air and once through the floor. Xiaobai crosses the arena sideways, the full 2 kilometers of it, wings cartwheeling, plows a trench through the far terrain, and comes to rest in a heap that immediately and firmly plays dead. Smartest creature in the building, honestly. First one to accept the new organizational chart. Luo Hao looks at his great axe, looks at the 2 skyscrapers of teeth looking back at him, and lowers it in the slow, deliberate way you put down something that might otherwise be pried from you. I concede. Shu Nianian raises one hand, palm out, and says, in the tone of a woman ordering dessert, yeah, same. Also, if he ever sells eggs, I want on the list. And Bai Wushuang stands very still in the middle of the arena under the shadow of 2 holy dragons next to his flattened national treasure that 7 family members died to catch. And I watch the whole architecture of his life fall down behind his eyes. Not defeat. He could survive defeat. Irrelevance. The Bai family emptied its veins to build 1 dragon prince, and the villager cook has 2. And everyone in 4 provinces just watched his dragon assume the position of a junior employee. The scoreboard updates one final time. Unnecessarily, Qian Fan, rank 1. Nobody will ever challenge for that seat again. The freshmen from Nanzhou, my province, the border kids who've eaten a semester of condescension from everyone, they figure out the new physics within a day and start filing arena challenges of their own against every genius clique that snubbed them, riding the aura of our province's #1. Chen Wei and his whole circle get farmed out of the top 100 by people they refuse to sit with at lunch. I didn't organize that. I just cleared the airspace. Xi Huaswed and the third Desweather did the rest. The faculty selection ceremony afterward is nominally about all 10,000 freshmen and functionally about me. The deans bid for me in open session like I'm a port city. Magic Academy offers a private laboratory. Beast Studies offers, somewhat desperately, unlimited specimen access, which sounds like a threat. And Heyalan, for Combat Academy, calmly places on the table 2 divine essences, S-grade bloodline treasures, 1 fire-spected, 1 frost, the exact and only delicacy my daughters would commit crimes for, and looks at me over her folder. Sold to the woman who did the homework. Again, the Beast Studies dean accuses her of bribery. She confirms it pleasantly while I sign. That evening brings the visit I'd been expecting. Suru at the villa door. No entourage holding her elbows. The apology is real, and it costs her. She's not a girl built for doorsteps. Her father made the call on Teams. Fine, family is family. But I was standing in that plaza when the fraud chant started, and I remember the geometry precisely. Luo Hao's whole block laughing along, and her beside them, silent. Not chanting, just silent in the way that counts as a vote where I grew up. You didn't say one word in my defense, I tell her, not angry, just doing inventory. You watched. So, different circles. I said it before. I meant it kindly then. And I closed the door. Kindly. The kindest door close in the history of doors, and still through it, I hear the specific silence of a girl relearning what things cost. My warm thread with names like Sue on them is officially in maintenance mode. My actual family is in the kitchen eating the curtain rods. My system picks that exact evening to pay out my exam quest because its sense of timing remains theatrical. My exam quest pays out that evening. First place, Fengtian entrance examination. 3 legendary chests and a diamond land in my inventory. 3 legendaries. The diamond chest alone coughs up a lucky potion, 24 hours of loaded dice, S grade, save that, plus a full gold grade armor set and a sword with a name longer than my lease. Then the legendaries open and the room gets bright. 1. Divine Perception SSS. A passive that feels every attack coming, every trajectory, every ambush, every sniper having thoughts about me anywhere in a battlefield. The anti-assassination organ. 2. Flame God SSS. A transformation, 5 times my stats, my body wreathed in fire that ignores resistance, and everything I burn stays burning. Wounds from it can't be healed while the mark endures. A pocket apocalypse with my face. And 3. The chest opens on a curl of violet mist, and inside, resting on black silk, is an egg the color of a bruised midnight, pulsing with slow toxic light. Dragon Egg SSS. The system's handling notes, which I am not making up, read, store in a pool of concentrated poison, the little one prefers a lethal environment. Who needs to be raised in venom the way orchids need humidity? Where does a man even find a I stop? I think about Heyalan's recruitment brochure, Fengtian Academy's list of restricted campus territories. Item 4, the Poison Mist Mountain Range, a quarantined valley of concentrated toxin fog, forbidden to students below level 50. I look at the egg pulses, smug. My family really does come with pre-written errands. 2 more things happened that week, both stupid, both my life now. First, the campus supermarket runs its monthly lottery. I stop by for Dragon groceries during my Lucky Potions test hour and win the grand prize, a full refund of everything in my cart, announced over store-wide speakers with confetti. 400 pounds of meat, free, while the manager personally shakes my hand and dies a little. Second, the academy issues an official statement that rumors of holy dragons on campus are exaggerated. The creatures in the recent exhibition match were advanced illusion constructs. 50,000 eyewitnesses read this statement. The forum's reaction thread is just the statement reposted with increasingly large clown emojis. But the line holds officially because officially is where the protection lives. A lesson I'll come back to when I learn what the school knows that I don't. The Enchanting Quarter is my next stop because the gold staff my system tipped me after the city exam, Falling Flame, solid but stock, deserves better than factory settings. Xiaonuoya walks me in, still side-eyeing me about the Ma Qingfeng incident, and the hall's master enchanter explains the rules. Each enchantment slot rolls quality on application, a 50 times amplification roll. Okay, the Rainbow Shan Toy hits maybe 15% on your first slot, 10 on the second, 10 on the third, and nobody in hall history has chained all 3. I mention I have a lucky potion with 19 hours left on it. Roll 1. The anvil erupts in rainbow light. The hall goes quiet. Roll 2. Rainbow. The hall goes loud. Roll 3. The entire enchanting quarter is pressed against the windows. 3 master enchanters are gripping each other's sleeves, and the anvil goes off like a parade. Triple rainbow. The recording breaks 10 million views by midnight. There is a slow motion edit with orchestral scoring. Shu Nianian, who witnessed it live from the snack counter, corners me on the way out with her eyes glittering and demands to know my secret in her usual interrogation format, which is a chaos mage alternating talk with attempts to physically shake loot out of me like I'm a vending machine. Her interrogation technique has exactly 1 setting and no follow-up questions, so the exchange goes verbatim, talk. About what? The rainbows. Talk. Trade secret. Talk. At which point, little Jew, bored, burps a tiny smoke ring in her face, and the chaos mage of Jani, top of her province, gets distracted, mid-shakedown into cooing at the dragon. Negotiations concluded. No information exchanged. A snack purchase for the perpetrator's pet by the victim. Elite academies, everyone. She also, and I want this on the record, still owes me from the credit lending racket she runs on freshmen. The famous Xiaofan loan, borrow 13, repay 9. A business model I cannot mathematically explain and refuse to participate in twice. The only sour note walks in wearing someone else's confidence. A broker named Chu Yu Tao muscling through the crowd to inform me that a certain senior figure, he says the name Shui Sheng, like a password, takes an interest in triple rainbow items, and that selling to anyone else would be unwise. When I decline, he waves forward his bodyguard, Fang Bin, level 49, a biochemical maniac class with arms like industrial equipment. The man reaches for my collar. Divine Perception has been narrating his intentions for 30 seconds. I catch the wrist, rotate, and hold him one-handed off the floor by the throat, level 49, twitching like a caught fish, while I finish my sentence to the broker, which takes a while because I speak slowly when I'm making a point. Then I set the maniac down, unconscious, arranged tidily against the wall. Self-defense, I tell the hall. The hall, which has seen my paperwork before, agrees instantly, and in chorus, Shui Sheng, remember the password. It comes back. Yalin finds me the next morning with 2 envelopes. The first is a permit, access to the Poison Mist Mountain Range, granted for advanced independent study. Her eyebrow making it clear she's noticed I requested the one campus territory that can kill me. The second envelope is the reason the first got approved so fast. It's a notice about something called the 10,000 Kingdoms Tournament and a tryout list. Read it later, she says. Go raise your 3rd child first. I do read the fine print of the permit on the flight out because Yalin's permits always have one more clause than expected, and there it is. Access granted contingent on specimen observation reports. She's not just indulging me. She's getting the Academy's first field survey of the range in 30 years out of it, filed by the only student who can survive the filing. I dictate my first report from 500 meters over the fog line, and it reads in full. Fog, purple, hostility, general, real estate potential, excellent, pending, one hungry egg. She archives it without comment. I'm told it's now used in the orientation packet as an example of something, and nobody will tell me of what. I do exactly that. The Poison Mist Mountain Range earns its quarantine. Valleys where the fog is thick enough to slice. Rivers that steam violet. Vegetation that has clearly won every argument it's ever had. I fly in. Oh, right, I fly now. The second profession tree granted a mobility skill, Heavenly Dragon Travel, wings of translucent flame off my back, and there's no graceful way to describe the first hour of learning it except that several cliffs got hugged, and I carry the egg to the source pool at the heart of the range, the concentrated poison spring the whole valley's toxicity drips down from. Handling notes said, a pool of poison. Here's the entire mountain range's supply, only the best for my kids. The egg hits the water and starts drinking, not soaking. Drinking. The pool level drops visibly, hour by hour, and then the fog follows. The valley's ancient violet murk pulling toward the spring in slow spirals, like the whole mountain range is a milkshake, and someone gave my daughter the straw. By the second day, the sky over the range is clear for the first time in recorded history. By the third, a level 50 apex beast, the range's resident tyrant, a poison drake thing the Academy has a standing bounty on, comes to the spring, and I brace for the fight. And it bows. Lowers itself flat, nudges the now glowing egg gently up the bank with its snout like a butler presenting a package, and backs away without turning around. Royalty is royalty, even in the shell. The hatching I get is quiet. The shell doesn't explode like little Jews or frost over like little hands. It just opens, politely, and from inside, 2 enormous amethyst eyes peer out at the world. And then hide. I wait. The eyes peek again. Hide again. My 3rd daughter, the nether poison sacred dragon, a creature whose birth just detoxified a mountain range, whose skill list includes a curse that erases level advantages and an execution aura that simply ends anything below a 5th of its health, is shy. Cripplingly, cosmically shy. She wears the top half of her eggshell like a helmet for the entire first day. When Little Jew and Little Han arrive for the standard sister inspection, there's a scary moment of triple growling, and then Little Jew does her signature move and licks the newcomer from tail to eggshell helmet, and that's that. The baby melts, and by nightfall she's a small violet comma pressed between a furnace and a glacier, making a sound like woo. Gee. It's I switches how she names herself. Little U on the registry. GG to her sisters forever. Back at the villa, life expands to fit. 3 dragons watch cartoons in a pile. Little Han pretends she's above it and never leaves. They learn to read from children's books faster than I can buy them and take up painting with their paws, results indistinguishable from modern art. Several pieces of which I am required to display on the fridge under penalty of sulking. Yalan drops by with paperwork, sees the fridge gallery, and files a note in her folder. I catch the words, requisition, art supplies. An Academy vice dean is budgeting crayons for holy dragons. This is my household. She does have one administrative question about the poison mist trip, delivered with her pen, already hovering over the incident report line. The monitoring station flagged an anomaly. The range's toxicity index has dropped to 0. The fog is gone. Chin Fan, did you break our poison source pearl? I explain honestly that nothing is broken. The pearl, the fog, and the index are all safe and accounted for inside my daughter, who found them delicious. Hye-lan looks at the small violet person hiding behind my leg, looks at her form which has a checkbox for territory damaged, but not for territory swallowed, writes slowly in the margin, map requires revision, and files it. Somewhere in the cartography department, a man is about to have a very strange Monday. The Academy's famous Forbidden Zone is now, ecologically speaking, a scenic meadow. Also that week, I win the supermarket lottery again. Second month running, grand prize, full cart refund, confetti cannon, the manager's handshake, noticeably weaker this time. The forum, which now tracks my life the way meteorologists track pressure systems, spins up a thread titled Think About It. Has anyone ever seen Chin Fan and the supermarket owner's son in the same room? And the theory that I'm secretly the heir to a grocery empire gains, I am not exaggerating, 11,000 upvotes. My actual bloodline, 20% Holy Dragon. The public's leading theory, produce Isle royalty, never correct a rumor, that funny, I let it run. Her other envelope though, the tournament list, that one detonates the whole country. Context because my stakes jump a weight class here. 100 years after the merge, humanity isn't the only player. The Global Transfer Federation runs a recurring championship, the 10,000 Kingdoms tournament, where every race that survived the merge sends its young elites, elves, dwarves, giants, orcs, vampires, the demon clans, all of them. And it's not for trophies. Resource rights ride on the standings, dungeon territories, mana loads, the actual math of whose civilization eats well for the next cycle. The individual bracket carries 70% of the scoring weight. One person's placement can shift a nation's budget. The national qualifier roster for our region posts with 5 names, and I find mine at the bottom. 5th seed, individual bracket, Chinfan, freshman, level 31. The other 4 seeds are 3rd years and graduates. The man I displaced, because a roster has exactly 5 seats, is Xuexing. Remember the password? 2nd ranked, senior on campus, level 59, vice president of the student council, heir of the Shu family, a man who has been penciled into this roster since he was 16, unpenciled by a freshman. Via committee decision after certain sealed exam feeds were shown to the selection board. The forum burns for a day, a freshman in the individuals, and while it burns, I get the notification that matters more than all of it. My panel quietly reorganizes my future. 2nd combat profession unlocked, Holy Dragon Knight, not the life skills slot, a true 2nd combat class keyed to what I am, and its passive architecture is just unfair, a bond per dragon. The Blazing Bond, plus 300% attack. The Winter Bond, plus 400% to every buff on me. The Nether Bond, total immunity to curses, poisons, and debuffs. Each daughter I raise doesn't just fight beside me, she's woven into my sheet. The class tree also lists, in grayed out fine print, a dark mirror path called Dragon Slayer, which powers up by devouring your own bonded dragons. The system flags it as available. I decline so hard the interface flinches. Some options exist just to tell you who you're not. Xuexing's response to his unpenciling reaches me via the campus public address system, which his family's donation money apparently rents by the hour. A formal challenge read aloud at noon, inviting the freshman occupying a national seat to defend the seat on the arena, and inviting the entire student body to attend the correction. The wording. These people keep writing my posters for me. My system, which loves this arc of my life like a soap opera, chimes before I finished my lunch. Ding, quest issued, perform a miracle in public. Reward, lucky potion. Failure penalty, 1 random S-grade skill deleted, a miracle, on demand, with my skills held hostage. The system has fully transitioned from sponsor to stage mother. The walk to the arena that evening is its own gauntlet, and I want you to have the texture of it. The loudspeaker campaign has run all day, hourly reminders of the challenge in a smooth announcer voice the Zhu family definitely hired, each one listing my name, my year, and my provisional national seat, that we're doing squats every hour on the hour. By evening, the campus has sorted itself into rivers all flowing one direction. Freshmen fall in behind me on the walkways like I'm a one-man parade. My province's kids up front, chins out. A betting syndicate is running odds openly on the library steps, and the odds are insulting. And some enterprising second year is selling handheld flags with a dragon on them, which means somebody's printing merchandise of my daughters without a license, which means after tonight I need a lawyer. Little Yu watches the flags from inside my collar and vibrates with the specific pride of seeing her sister's face on a product. The arena that evening is Xuexing's home crowd, seniors, council loyalists, the Shu family's campus ecosystem. And he's brought friends to open for him. A warm-up act, Wing Hong, level 50, explosive flame mage, who takes the stage promising to check the freshman's paperwork. The crowd's still laughing at the bit when I say my line. That you know my line. The whole campus knows my line by now. All of you together, I'm in a hurry, and they decline because seniority has protocols, so Wang Hong opens alone with a Firestorm Nova. Fire. He brought fire to me. Fire Affinity eats 80% of it before my jacket notices, and 2 Fire Dragon bullets cross the remaining distance and conclude the paperwork check in 3 seconds flat. The opening act is carried off, the crowd recalibrates. Second comes Gaedong Shu, level 56, Retribution Knight, and this one's serious gold plate armor, a stacked tower of defensive blessings, the campus's premier. You can't hurt me, specialist. He plants his shield and invites me to try, but my girls have been watching from my shoulders all evening, increasingly offended that people keep scheduling their father like a clinic, and I've promised them one each. Little Han fogs the stage, a whiteout with a 70% tax on everything he is, and inside it 2 shapes at full size move once. When the fog lifts, the premier defensive specialist of Fengdian Academy is on his back, with 2 neat holes punched clean through the gold plate, in and out, shoulder and hip, claws like armor-piercing rounds, being carted off alive to a smith and a healer in that order. The stands have gone very quiet. The dragons resettle on my shoulders and go back to pretending to sleep. And then Zhuisheng stops pretending this is sport. He comes up the arena steps already glowing, both family heirloom swords out, and there's no bow, no protocol, none of the seniority he hid behind all evening. His opener is a technique called Dual Soul Annihilation Slash, and he aims it at my neck, not at the scoring zones, at my neck in front of 8,000 witnesses, a kill stroke from a man who decided a funeral, repairs a resume. Divine Perception screams the trajectory. Divine Flash moves me 1 meter. Actually, exactly 1. I've gotten precise, and his masterpiece kills the air where my throat was. My counter is a skill I traded from He Yalan's private library, Blazing Holy Flash. The world goes white for everyone facing me, and in that white, I don't hold back, because Divine Perception is still reading his follow-through. There is a follow-through. The second sword is already rising for the finisher, so mine lands first. Full arc. Committed. I give it to you as a result. The referee calls it, the medics run, and the campus's second-ranked senior does not leave the stage upright. The arena is a vacuum. 8,000 people just watched a freshman answer a real killing stroke with a realer one. The proctoring instructor finds his voice first, and it comes out as a bureaucratic reflex. My malicious excess. The duel was, he swung to kill and missed, I say, to the instructor, to the stands, to the feeds. I swung to kill and didn't. That's the entire difference between us. Write that in the report. Nobody writes anything. The system, however, does. Quest complete, miracle certified, potion delivered. The stage mother is pleased. Aftermath in the order I learn it. Zhuisheng lives. This world keeps resurrection grade healing on retainer for its precious seniors, though the procedure eats 10 levels, and level 49 Zhuisheng wakes up to discover the student council has already voted him off its letterhead. Families like his run on the fiction of inevitability, and the fiction did not survive the footage. Within a week, the vulture dynamics of campus finished the job. Hundreds of ranked players who spent years under his heel file, challenges he can't refuse, and he bleeds ranking points daily until he drops out of the top 300 and off his own family's succession page. I never touch him again. I never need to. I just showed the campus he was touchable. And me, I go shopping for the tournament in the only store I trust, the Diamond Tier Dungeon Wing, level 30 bracket, solo, hell. I take 4 dungeons in 4 days, and each one's a genre. Day 1, the Succubus's Nest, which the forum calls the Paradise Raid, an entire dungeon of honey trap illusion demons whose whole kit is charm. They get in your head, dress the kill floor as your fondest daydream, and feed on you while you smile at it. Parties bring anti-charm talismans by the crate and still post casualty rates. I walk in, and the nest's opening illusion breaks over me like a wave on a lighthouse. The nether bond makes me immune to mental effects, so what I actually experience is a corridor full of demons posing seductively at a man who can see the meat hooks behind the wallpaper, which is less paradise and more world's most confident mime troupe. And then my daughters process what the dungeon just attempted. Understand, 3 overprotective girls have watched something try to bat eyes at their father, professionally. The clear takes 11 minutes only because little Ju insists on burning the boudoir throne room to bedrock, then burning the bedrock, then circling back to burn a surviving decorative pillow she felt was smirking. The exit survey asks me to rate the dungeon's difficulty. There is no box for, my children took it personally. Day 2, The Howling Abyss, a vertical dungeon, a canyon shaft of wind demons whose stacked scream auras disorient parties into stepping off ledges. The dungeon's kill count is mostly gravities. My counter is that I brought my own air force and a child whose venom doesn't care about wind direction. Day 3 is Plague City, and Day 4 the 100 Ghost Mountain with its philosophical Ghost King. 4 dungeons, 4 all-time records, all inside 3 minutes except the pillow inspection. But Plague City deserves its own telling because in Plague City, Little Yu debuts her true form, and I finally understand what the Quiet One is, devouring poison shadow. She rises out of her own venom like a 100-meter god of death, wings of violet smoke, and everything her poison kills doesn't stay dead. It stands back up as a nether poison battle soldier, 70% of its living strength, immune to physical damage, bound to her will. No cap, no cap. The dungeon's army becomes her army, mid-fight, compounding, a snowball made of the other team. The boss of 100 Ghosts Mountain, a ghost king with 1,000 years of menace, watches his entire vanguard get converted in 90 seconds and just sits down on his throne. His actual final words, which I will treasure always: I am a minor boss. What did I do to deserve 3 holy dragons? Nothing personal, your hauntedness. It's grocery money. Also, and this is important for later, so mark it, the 100-meter god of death, when the fighting stops, shrinks back down to a shy violet comma, hides behind my leg from the dungeon's exit survey camera, and says GG until I put her favorite tiger-striped hood on her. My most terrifying child wears a kitty hat. Her sisters bullied me into buying it. The seamstress thinks it's for a niece. The tally after 4 days, I'm level 40 and the loot pool coughed up 4 S-grade talents in 1 shopping week. Nightwalker, a stealth that makes me a rumor. Chain of Resentment, which links marked enemies so they share what one of them earns. Storm Surge and Deadly Spell, a straight 3 to 5 times multiplier on finishing magic. My stats clear 5,500 across the board before a single buff. The girls are deep in the double digits with numbers I've stopped reading aloud because they sound like typos. And the instructor who administers the dungeon wing catches me on the way out of the 4th record ceremony, sleepless, haunted, and begs, really, young Master Chin, please, leave some records standing. The other students need hope. Hope. Sir, I have a national tournament in 3 weeks and 3 daughters who eat like a mining operation. Hope is not on the menu, but I promise him I'll do my remaining growing up off campus, which is technically a concession. He looked so tired. Great teacher. Wonderful academy. I'm keeping all the records though. National squad training begins, and with it, my brief career as the most resented captain in Fengtian history. I clock the duration of the resentment at 1 afternoon. The squad is the academy's aristocracy. Anna Chris, president of the student council, level 68, and an actual princess of the Dragonkin, a human lineage carrying thin old dragon blood, which makes her both royalty and hilariously distant family to my kids. Mushinyu, Bianshuetong, Nia Kexen, Shutianyo, 3rd years, champions all, and their captain by Federation seating rules, a freshman. The first training session opens with the 5 of them exchanging the look. You know the look, the who let the intern drive look. Shu Tianyu proposes, very reasonably, that leadership should be settled the traditional way on the mat, so the girls handle orientation. All 3, full size, 1 synchronized exhale, not even a breath attack, just AIR, dragon flavored, and 5 of the strongest students in 4 provinces sit down at once like a bench broke. Anna Chris, 3rd tier powerhouse, princess of the dragon-blooded, stays conscious the longest, which her lineage should be proud of, nearly 4 seconds. When everyone's eyes refocus, the squad reconvenes, and Xu Tianyu announces from the floor with the smooth institutional grace of a man amending minutes. As I was saying, we have always supported Captain Chin. Training with dragons has exactly one hazard the manuals don't cover. During a combined arms drill, the girls get competitive, sisters, always, and their 3 breaths cross midfield, flame, frost, and venom braiding into one cloud. The cloud, it turns out, is its own invention, a spontaneous level 40 compound toxin that no one planned and no antidote exists for because it didn't exist until 11 seconds ago. The entire squad goes down foaming, not dying, just profoundly, theatrically incapacitated, and has to be revived by medics while little Yu stands over her handiwork, absolutely glowing with shy pride. Her first collaboration. It's on the fridge now, metaphorically. The squad requests, formally, in writing, that the fridge never be plugged in near them again. The training weeks themselves turn me into the squad's Swiss Army knife, mostly by my own accident. Scrimmage needs a tank. The freshman captain holds the line. 7,000 base stats absorb what shield walls can't. Backline folds. Fast casting makes me the emergency mage. The healer gets focused. Spirit Chef field rations out of my belt pouch plus 15% lifesteal to set an example. The coaching staff runs out of role drills to test me with and starts inventing new ones. And that's before I unveil the month's personal project, Dragon's Parry, a technique I built off Little Jew's sparring habits, a half-second window where an incoming strike gets caught at the hinge of its own momentum and handed back, weapon optionally included. First live demonstration, I disarm our own weapons instructor of a saber he's held for 20 years and return it to him pommel first before his stance finishes. He calls a water break. The water break is 40 minutes, and the faculty makes exactly one, collective attempt to pressure test me properly. 5 instructors, coordinated focus fire, to check the captain's limits for the record. What they've forgotten is chain of life. 80% of everything they land on me roots down the bond and splits across 4 dragons napping in the pet space. So the instructors hammer away at a freshman who won't fall over, their best combinations vanishing into me like coins into a well, while in the pet space, 4 napping daughters keep getting invoiced slivers of damage in their sleep. Sliver, sliver, sliver. There is a limit to dragon patience, and it is measured in interrupted naps. On the 11th sliver, the air above the training field opens, 4 heads emerge, scaled and scowling like management descending a staircase, and the assembled faculty of the Combat Academy learns what a synchronized 4-element warning exhale does to a training field's grass, dignity, and fire insurance. The limits test is concluded. For the record, the captain's limit is his children's nap schedule. The freshman exchange match is where the season's real rival walks on stage. It's a friendly, our first years against Ice Spirit Academies, and I'm seated out of it. Federation rules bench, national roster players. So I watch from the stands as Ice Spirit's captain takes our freshman squad apart like a woman defusing a bomb she's bored of. Lin Kuling, remember the provincial exam where second place trailed me by 200 points? Her. Personal disciple of the Ice Queen, one of the humans this world calls a demigod out loud, and a dark mage of level 64 at 18, casting without gestures, without incantations, without visible effort, like the spells are just agreeing with her. Watch the match with me, because I did, and I caught myself leaning forward more with every exchange. Our freshman squad isn't weak, post me, post arena. They're a hardened crew with real coordination, and they open smart. Staggered engagement, anti-mage, spacing, the works. It buys them 11 seconds. Her first working takes their vanguard out of the fight without visibly crossing the space between. One blink he's charging, next blink he's suspended in a lens of dark, asleep, or adjacent to it. Their counter volley, 6 spells, curves into a fold in the air that simply isn't there afterward, and neither are the spells. She walks forward at strolling pace through everything they know how to do, dismantling a 5-person formation like a woman clearing a table after guests. No flourish, no taunts, not even effort's shadow, and the whole time her expression holds a polite, mild, slightly bored attention, like the match is a form she's filling out. Final score, 5-0, 2 minutes and change, and our 5 leave upright only because she chose that. It's the first fight I've watched all year where I catch myself taking notes. She collects the win, bows to the stands with textbook courtesy, finds me in them with eyes like a fixed appointment, and mouths nothing at all, just looks. A long-level cataloging look, the exact look I give a dungeon boss's stat panel. The temperature of it follows me home. She's the first person in this world my instincts file under later and carefully. Meanwhile, my signing bonus finally pays out its crown jewel, escorted access to the Dragon Spirit secret realm, the sealed valley Hyalan dangled in her first pitch. Inside, it's a botanical time capsule, herbs that died out with the dragons growing wild for a century with nobody to eat them. The girls hit that valley like a wedding buffet. The centerpiece is blazing dragon grass, which I brew, Spirit Chef finally headlining, into a bloodline elixir that smells like a volcano's memoirs. All 3 drink, all 3 drop where they stand, mid-purr, into a hibernation. The system labels growth sleep. For 3 days, my villa is the quietest it's ever been, and I hate every minute. I cook. I pace. I reread the tournament regulations twice and hate them separately. More on that in a second. And on day 3, 3 sunrises go off in my living room at once. Little Jew wakes at level 35, stats 12,000. Little Han, 32, 10,000. Little You, 30, 9.5. And Bloodline Fusion, faithful accountant, deposits my 5th of the entire windfall. My own sheet crests 7,500 unbuffed at level 40. For calibration, the level 50 Apex Tyrant of the Poison Mist range would now lose to any single member of this household, including, arguably, the fridge art, the regulations I mentioned. Buried in the tournament's appendix is the reason my instincts have been growling all month, and Hyalan confirms it over tea with the weariness of someone declassifying by installments. The world outside our borders is not friendly. 2 years ago, the Academy's best graduating sword genius, a once-a-generation talent publicly celebrated, nationally beloved, stepped into a long-range teleport gate and never stepped out. 4 fourth-tier signatures cut the corridor mid-transit. Foreign signatures, dark-aligned, nothing was ever proven because nothing was ever found. That's the world my dragons just got famous in, one where being humanity's best makes you a bill someone else wants to cancel early. It's why the school publishes illusion constructs with a straight face. It's why she mentions as casually as a woman mentioning whether a 4th-tier guardian has been stationed within 1 minute of the Anning City orphanage since the week I enrolled. I put down my cup, she refills it. Neither of us says anything for a moment because the thing under the moment doesn't need words. They knew where to look for my heart before I ever told them, which means others can find it too, which means the only real insurance is the thing I'm already doing, climbing, faster than anyone can plan around. The pre-tournament banquet is where I meet the rest of the planet, and where the planet learns my table manners. Shenlong Hotel, National Delegation Night. Every race's youth team under one chandelier the size of a bus, Silver Moon elves with faces like unfair advantages, dwarf smith lords already drunk and arm wrestling, vampires sipping their branded synthetic vintage and looking bored on purpose, orc shamans, half-demon envoys, and the giants you hear before you see, laughter like landslides. Their number 1 is Danton, level 68, a 19-year-old the size of a toll booth, and he's holding court on the theme of human fragility when our delegation is announced, and my name, 5th seed, the Dragon Rumor Boy, gets the loudest murmur. Denton crosses the whole hall to me with his hand out, and I count too many teeth in the grin. The little dragon keeper. Humans breed so small. And the handshake closes like a car crusher, a giant's oldest banquet joke, the one that ends with a human icing his hand for a week, while the giant's table dines out on the whimper. I don't move, not performatively, I genuinely don't need to. 7,500 before buffs. His grip climbs, his grin doesn't, his knuckles whiten, and I watch him privately discover that the toll booth has met the truck. Then, little hand's bond stirs. My girls take handshake liberties personally, and one lick of frost dragon claw runs up my arm and through his. Not a wound, a statement. His entire massive hand flash sealed in blue-black ice to the elbow, frozen mid-crush, and the crack that spiderwebs up the ice is the only sound in the entire banquet hall. They thaw him out with fire mages and resurrection-adjacent medicine. Giants are durable. He keeps the arm and loses 13 levels and every ounce of the room, and before the buzz can even pick a volume, the giant's corner rises. Their delegation elder, not a competitor, a chaperone, a level 100 martial god, a man whose title has its own entry in the Federation Charter, lets his aura fall across our table like a dropped mountain. The pressure that folds 3rd tiers. Every human in the delegation locks up. It slides off me like rain off a roof. Bloodline sharing. The quiet clause in my bond. The one I keep forgetting until moments like this. My blood is 1/5 Holy Dragon, and Holy Dragon outranks everything on the old chain of being. Auras are seniority. My family predates his species' concept of it. The martial god holds the pressure for 3 full seconds, staring at the one human boy sitting relaxed in the epicenter, eating a dumpling. Then he withdraws it, inclines his head 1 degree, 1 chin, and sits back down. The dumpling was excellent, by the way. The whole spread was. Which brings me to the evening's true scandal. My daughters linked to my senses, taste testing the banquet through me and going insane because interracial fusion catering is the best thing that's ever happened through a bond. So I do what any father does. I requisition. Table by table, tray by tray, the elves' moonfruit course, the dwarves' stone roast, the vampires' strictly non-blood tasting flight, loading a levitating cart with diplomatic neutrality, while 50 international geniuses watch the man who froze a giant shop the entire hall's dinner. And here's the thing about elites, they're pack animals. The moment the scariest person in the room starts hoarding a dish, that dish becomes strategic. By the time I reach dessert, half the delegations are racing me for trays, a Silver Moon prince is guarding the moonfruit with his body, and the banquet has devolved into the most beautiful international incident of the season. The girls get their feast at midnight, spread across the villa floor on stolen silver. Worth it, all of it. Every future war crime accusation from the catering staff. Worth it. My tournament opens in the Shenlong Arena, 150,000 seats, sold out for a month, plus every screen in the country. Individual bracket, 128 names, single elimination. The pre-tournament power rankings, printed in every outlet, run through the favorites like a menu of my future problems. Loya, Princess of the Silver Moon Elves, level 69, a holy bow that predates our calendar. Nick, first seed of the Demon Clans, level 69, fight name Storm Demon King, with a highlight reel I make myself watch twice. It's mostly hospital footage. Lin Kuling, the Ice Queen's disciple, humanity's ace, and down at the bottom of the article, the obligatory paragraph about the controversial fifth human seed, an unproven freshman with a stock photo where I'm buying meat. And because the organizers have a sense of humor, and because I'm starting to suspect my luck stat bends probability around scheduling software, the opening match of the entire tournament, first name out of the lottery ball, is me. Of course it is. I'm always first in the draw. Somewhere there's an organizer with a dartboard of my face, and I've never met him. My opponent, Alvin, second blade of the Silver Moon Elves, level 67, class Moonlight Lamenter, a summoner bard who calls the spirits of his ancestors' forest down in choirs. The arena loves him instantly. He enters trailing silver light and bows in 4 directions. I enter to the sound of 150,000 people checking their programs to confirm that yes, that's the freshman. And yes, that's a shopping bag he just handed the referee for safekeeping. It's dumplings. The girls get restless in the 3rd hour of events. Alvin opens at scale, the full choir, 3,000 moonlight spirits in ranked formation, a forest of glowing spears above the arena floor. It's genuinely gorgeous. The crowd is on its feet. He gives me a sad, gracious nod, the duelist's apology for what's about to happen, and I appreciate the manners. I do. But see, here's the thing. Nobody outside my dungeon logs knows yet. Little used soldiers don't expire. Every creature her poison has claimed since Plague City, every dungeon army, every record run, banks into her shadow, waiting. I've been stockpiling for weeks. The count, as of this morning, stood at 80,000. Sorry about your choir, I say, and open the valve. 10,000 nether poison battle soldiers rise out of my shadow in one tide. Dungeon knights with violet fire in their visors, plague-born colossi, ghost things from the 100 Ghosts vanguard, all of them moving with drilled silent discipline, all of them faintly draconic around the eyes now, her signature spreading through the ranks like a watermark. The arena's sound doesn't build, it cuts, 150,000 throats closing on the same breath. My front rank hits his spirit choir like a tax audit hitting a birthday party. Moonlight spears versus soldiers who are immune to physical damage and inflict compounding venom. The math takes 90 seconds and isn't close. His forest of light dims section by section, eaten from the floor up. Alvin, to his credit, reads the math early, silences his own choir mid-verse, and bows out with elven grace. I concede in accented common, and then quieter to me at the handshake with the professional's honest curiosity. How many more do you have? 70,000. He laughs like a man deciding to enjoy the apocalypse. I like elves. The commentators do not recover for 2 full match slots, and the evening's headline across every feed is my army's marching formation with the caption, "The Freshmen Brought a Nation." Between rounds, life continues its committed bit. The girls banned from fighting until later rounds by my own game plan. Why show holy dragons before the field forces it have discovered cards? Anna Chris taught them fight the landlord as a joke. It is no longer a joke. They play in the pet space between my matches, pause slapping cards down with escalating violence, and little Han cheats systematically. She palms cards under her frost aura, where the fog of winter hides her paw. Little Jew has caught her twice, and both times the resulting sisterly diplomacy has required my intervention and one apology dumpling each. Little you just wins quietly and pretends it's luck. It is not luck. My gentlest child counts cards. I've never been prouder or more afraid. The early rounds grind on around me, and the tournament shows its teeth. This isn't academy sparring. Federation rules allow everything short of finishing a downed opponent who signaled surrender, and the demon delegation lives in the gap of that rule. Their ace, Nick, takes the stage against one of ours, a 3rd seed named Liu Yan, and I watch him turn the match into a message. He becomes the storm, full elementalization, a body of black lightning, and takes Liu Yan apart with a patience that has nothing to do with winning. The surrender comes at 10 seconds. The storm keeps working until the referees physically breach the field. Liu Yan leaves on a hover stretcher, alive because the medics are demigods and for no other reason. And the next human on the demon side of the bracket, a boy named Shangguan Wen, doesn't even get the stretcher's dignity intact. I'll give you the result and keep the details. The referees stop it late, the medics earn their pay, and the demon stands over what's left and looks up into the human section of the stands, looking for a reaction, enjoying it. Then he finds my seat specifically, makes sure I'm watching, and raises one clawed middle finger. The girls go still on my shoulders, all 3 at once, that eerie synchronized stillness, like a house before a storm hits it. I put one hand up. Wait, not here, not for free. The bracket is already carrying him toward us, and some bills you let ripen before you collect them. Soon, I tell them, and the stillness turns into 3 slow nods, and several rows of international spectators around us quietly change seats. My next draw, Morris, second seed of the demons, a swamp demon duelist whose gimmick has retired a dozen careers, full elemental body, a massive living corrosive bog with no core, no organs, no anatomy, physical attacks pass through, blades pass through. My 80,000 strong army is suddenly the wrong tool because you can't poison a puddle and you can't stab soup. The demon delegation chose my matchup lottery pool carefully is what I'm saying. You can feel the paperwork behind it. The commentators explain at length why the freshman's entire toolkit, pets, summons, that scary sword, is checkmated by 50 tons of sentient marsh. Everyone keeps forgetting about the cook. Mid-match, with Morris oozing smugly through my soldiers' formations, I pull one soldier back to me, lay my hand on its helm, and do the thing nobody watching has ever seen a summoner do on purpose. I release it, contract dissolved, mid-fight, and the soldier's banked essence, all of it, discharges through my nether bond in one flash. The commentators are still parsing why a man would delete his own unit when I vanish. Nightwalker, the S-grade stealth from the Howling Abyss loot, powered by a released soul's worth of essence. I go dark. Fully dark, presence, sound, scent, mana signature gone, and the released essence paints a lure copy of my signature on the far side of the arena. Morris lunges his whole mass at the decoy, gleeful, committed, and I surface directly inside his center of mass with the Heaven Crystal Sword wrapped in 200% true damage, the kind that doesn't ask what you're made of, only where you are, and riding the blade's spine, a single drop of payload I borrowed at breakfast from a small violet person who insisted on contributing to Daddy's match. True damage doesn't care that he's soup. And little use venom, it turns out, can absolutely poison a puddle. It can poison the concept of a puddle. Morris comes apart from the inside out, corrosion corroding, the bog curdling around a blooming star of violet, and the surrender gurgles out of him at volume. The stands take a beat to process the reversal, then detonate. In the demon delegations box, nobody is lounging anymore. On my shoulder, hidden in my collar, the payload's donor makes her tiny GI of satisfaction and accepts her fee, one dumpling, pre-negotiated. The betting markets, I'm told, still have Lin Kuling as tournament favorite that night, but I check before bed and the line moves. The round of 32 does what brackets do to deaths. It matures mine. Chin Fan versus Nick, the Storm Demon King, the Stretcher Maker, the Middle Finger. The Demon Delegations box is festive for this one. They've watched their second seed fall to a trick, but tricks don't work on Nick because Nick's whole existence is overwhelming force with a hobby of cruelty. The pre-match analysis puts his effective stats around 9,000, notes the hidden bloodlines of 2 Demon Royal lines braided in him, and gives the freshman a puncher's chance if the army stalls him. In the human section, they're praying. In my collar, someone small and white has been doing slow, patient breathing exercises since breakfast because I promised her this one at bedtime 3 days ago, and the Lord of Winter keeps her appointments. We face off at center field. Nick rolls his neck, lets the black lightning start crawling his arms, and leans in for the traditional pre-match courtesies. After you, I'm thinking the Ice Girl, then maybe that priestess I saw you with on the feeds. Demons finish sets. I don't answer, I just let him feel it. 1 degree of the bloodline, aimed the way Little Jew taught the exam boss what a throne means. A holy dragon's regard, delivered eye to eye, at 2 meters. Nick, level 69, storm-given legs, terror of the bracket, flinches, full body, involuntary, knees first flinch, in front of 150,000 people and every screen on the planet. The referee, deadpan, flags him for a false start. The arena laughs. Demons don't recover from laughter. It's not in their build. The bell rings, and I make it formal. Little Han, debut. She comes off my shoulder like winter clocking in full size for the first time in public. 200 meters of white silence, and the crowd's roar hits a wall of awe and dies into that cathedral hush I've come to think of as her applause. The winter bond snaps taut between us plus 10 levels while she fights beside me, my sheet spiking to numbers that embarrass the commentator's graphics package, and then her domain unfolds across the entire arena floor, wall to wall, and Nick's 9,000 becomes 2,700 before he's thrown a single bolt. He throws it anyway, a spear of black lightning that would have leveled a city block yesterday. It crosses into her kilometer and arrives at my chest with the authority of a thrown snowball. I catch it. I actually catch it one-handed and put it out like a cigarette. You can watch the understanding land on him frame by frame on the big screens. The storm tries everything in the manual: elementalization, blink strikes, a skywide net of chain lightning, and the domain taxes every jewel at the door while little Han walks toward him. Just walks. Frost climbing his legs a knuckle at a time. He breaks and goes for the referee's platform, not to attack it, to reach it, to touch the surrender zone before this gets any more expensive. And little Han, my princess, my most precise child, does the thing she has been planning in breathing exercises for 3 days, the thing that makes every demon in the box come off their seats. A flick of one wing, frozen all things, and a seal of ice closes over the lower half of his face, over his mouth. The arena takes one collective breath as the geometry of it lands on everyone at once. Shangguan Wen surrendered at 10 seconds. The rules only hear a surrender that's spoken. What follows is brief. I want that understood. Briefer than what he did, briefer than he deserved, because we are not him. The point was never suffering. The point was the shape of the lesson, drawn in his own handwriting. The Lord of Winter closes the distance, and the storm goes out the way storms actually go out, not with drama, with silence, whited out, sealed to the frost floor. When she releases the field, what's left of the Storm Demon King is carried out by his delegation in a hurry. Alive technically, because a Royaline demon carries a death ward pill worth a city, and it fires, and the price of firing is 6 levels and every drop of his legend. The referees convene for 11 minutes and expel him from the remainder of the tournament for the Shangguan Wen match, retroactively now that the mood permits enforcement. Courage follows weather. I've stopped being surprised. The human section of the stands doesn't cheer exactly. It exhales. Somewhere up there, a family that came to watch the tournament anyway, after what happened to their son in the round of 64, is holding each other. I look up at them once and touch my chest, over the bond, where all 3 of my own ride. That one was on the house. Little Han shrinks to shoulder size on the walkout, accepts her fee. She'd negotiated 2 dumplings, my daughters have a union now, and sleeps for 11 hours with her nose under my chin. Debut complete. The betting line, I'm told, moves all the way. My round of 16 week has one running domestic subplot, jealousy. Anna Chris, dragon-blooded princess, keeps finding student council reasons to visit the villa, and the girls have unionized on this issue too. She reaches out once to touch my shoulder over paperwork, and finds her sleeve flash frozen to the table. Little Han, not even looking up from her cards, delivering the household's official position. Staff may not be handled by outside parties. Anna, to her credit, files the incident under flattery. Dragon-blooded, she gets it. My round of 16 draw, Betty, first seed of the dwarves. And Betty is the tournament's dark horse for a reason. Soul Reaper class, the dwarves' once-a-century necromantic anomaly. A cheerful, braided menace whose signature move ignores armor, stats, domains, and everything else this bracket has learned to fear about me. She doesn't attack the body. Her scythe construct reaches through the chest and pulls out the soul, and then negotiates with your empty chassis from a position of overwhelming leverage. 3 matches, 3 instant wins, 3 opponents who folded the moment they saw themselves from outside. Nobody's told her what lives in my chassis. She opens the match exactly on script. Missed chains, the great gray scythe sweeping through my guard like I'm furniture. The hooked pull that's ended every fight she's ever started. I feel it connect, feel the awful fishhook yank behind my sternum, and out it comes into the light of the arena, the soul of Chin Fan, except the thing on her hook is on fire. Flame God lives in the soul layer. That's where transformations live. And my soul, marinating in 2 holy bloodline dividends and 1 SSS transformation for months, comes out of my chest as a dragon. A soul dragon of white gold fire, wings filling the arena's sky, and it turns on the hook, holding it with an expression I recognize from Little Jew's face when someone touches her plate. Betty looks up at what she's caught. The whole arena looks up at what she's caught. Her scythe construct, a piece of dwarven soulcraft older than our country, evaluates the catch and does the single most sensible thing any opponent has done all tournament. It lets go by itself. Betty sits down on the arena floor, waves one hand vaguely at the referee, and announces, wetly through what are definitely tears, I quit, his soul has teeth. The clip of her saying it becomes the tournament's most shared moment within an hour. The clip of my soul dragon settling back into my chest and me patting my own sternum like a man reassuring a dog through a coat. That one's second. And then there are 8. The board posts the quarterfinal bracket, and it reads like a joke with a long setup. Every single first seed of every race made it through. Loya of the Elves, Aina of the Vampires, Charlie of the Orcs, Clara of the Beastkin Paladins, the whole Apex Club, plus exactly 1 Seed 5 Gatecrasher with a shopping bag. And the pairings, through some miracle of Federation seeding I refuse to believe is accidental, land every human versus other race matchup possible. The politics section of every paper stops pretending this is sports. My quarterfinal, Charlie, first seed of the Orcs, half mammoth lineage, actual tusks, actual 4 meters, and in this world's love of misdirection, not a bruiser at all, but a hex shaman, a specialist in curse plague warfare. His signature, 10,000 blight spirits marshaled in ranks, marched into the enemy, and then detonated, a curse bomb the commentators compare with nervous laughter to tactical ordnance. 2 matches, 2 opponents evacuated in quarantine bubbles. He opens with the full doctrine. The spirit ranks advance wall to wall. My soldiers meet them, and at the moment of maximum contact, Charlie slams his staff and turns the middle of the arena into a sun of green-black plague fire. The shockwave alone folds the forward wards. The gas that follows is the real weapon, a rolling bank of concentrated curse smog that eats through summons, wards, and lungs alike, and it comes across the field at me like a tide. So I introduce the tournament to my 3rd daughter. Little Yu steps off my shoulder in her tiger-striped hood. She will not deploy without the hood anymore. Her sisters have created a monster of fashion, takes position in front of the smog bank, plants her tiny paws, and inhales the entire cloud. 10,000 detonated curses, a plague meant to quarantine a stadium, drawn down her small violet throat in one long, satisfied slurp, the way other children handle a milkshake. The hood's little tiger ears don't even flutter. She turns around once to check I watched. I watched, sweetheart. Everyone on the planet watched. And burps a single violet ring that dissolves a warding rune by accident. Charlie stares at the small hooded person who just drank his doctrine. Then he does the honorable orc thing, drops the staff, charges 4 meters of mammoth blood shaman with tusks lowered. Dragon's parry, the half-second window, the technique I drilled until the training instructors filed complaints, catches his lead tusk with my offhand, redirects 3 tons of momentum into the floor, and my blade finishes the sentence. The referee's intervention field snaps in at the last inch. Federation rules protect a downed first seed at the 1% line, and Charlie survives by the width of a bureaucrat's mercy, which, for the record, is exactly the mercy the demons never asked their referees to extend to us. Elsewhere in the bracket, the quarters produce the upset that guts our delegation, Anna Chris versus Aina of the Vampires. Anna fights brilliantly, Princess Blood against Blood Princess, but Aina's Crimson Eye runes rewrite the exchange 3 moves in, and our council president leaves on her shield. The girls watch that one from my shoulders in complete silence, and little Han, who freezes Anna's sleeves to furniture as a hobby, quietly makes a sound I've only heard her make about family. So the last 4 stand, me versus Loya, Princess of the Silver Moon, and Lin Qiuling versus Aina, 2 humans, and I use the term loosely for one of us. My semi-final against Loya is the fight the tournament will be remembered for, and it doesn't start the way anyone expects, because it starts with slapstick. Loya is the real thing. Let me establish that first, because what happens next needs the contrast. Princess of the Silver Moon, level 69, and her bow is a national relic of a nation older than mine, a curve of living moon silver that doesn't fire arrows so much as verdicts. Her opening volley comes in faster than sound and smarter than birds, homing shafts of hard light that bank around cover. The correct answer to her opening is a prepared ward matrix and a prayer. My answer is that I'm holding my youngest daughter at the time. She was on my shoulder. The match started fast, and on pure parental reflex, I duck and swing her behind me like a dad shielding a toddler from a sprinkler, which is how, in front of 150,000 people and the assembled press of the known world, an elven relic arrow strikes the nether poison sacred dragon directly in the bottom. Time stops. The arena, the commentators, Loya mid-draw, everyone watches the small hooded creature go rigid, quiver once, and then perform the single most theatrical death scene in Dragonkind's recorded history. A slow, tragic collapse, one paw over her eyes, tiger hood flopping, tail giving a final artistic twitch. She is not injured. Her scales didn't notice. She is dramatizing because at home this act is worth 2 dumplings minimum and the whole world just became her kitchen. I have to call a referee's pause to explain that my dragon is not dead. She is acting, and no, I cannot make her stop until someone applauds. The medical team applauds. She takes a bow. Loya, princess of an ancient dignified people, is laughing so hard she has to lean on her relic. Then everyone remembers this is a semi-final and the real fight happens, and the real fight is her. Loya is the first opponent all tournament who makes divine perception feel like a necessity instead of a luxury. Her arrows come in weaves. She shoots the place I'll dodge to, then the place I'll dodge from that. Chess at Mach 3. The relic bow ignores my soldiers entirely. Hard light passes through my army like it's weather. For 6 full minutes, the scoreboard reads like an actual contest, which by this tournament's standards makes it an epic. She even solves Little Yu's approach. Moon snares, brilliant, right up until my daughter gets bored of clever, lowers her hooded head, and simply rams through the snare lattice like a violent freight event, and the crowd learns that the epic grade snares crack before the baby's skull does. So Loya escalates to the button of last resort, the relic's true shot, piercing arrow, SSS grade, the shot her nation's histories claim once hold a fortress and the mountain behind it, drawn not at my dragon, but at me, because she's read the same bond mechanics everyone else has. And the tamer, and the army, the bow sings, the world goes silver thin. Even divine perception delivers its warning in a new voice, the quiet one, the this is real one. And little you steps into the line and swallows it, not blocks, not deflects, swallows, catches the SSS verdict of the Silver Moon Nation out of the air like a thrown grape, gulps, and sits back on her haunches with the hood slightly askew. Then her expression changes and the entire arena feels the temperature of the day move, because here's what I know that Loya doesn't. My youngest doesn't have a temper, she has a threshold. And someone shot a killing arrow at Daddy is on the far side of it. The tiger hood slides off as she rises and rises and rises. 100 meters of devouring poison shadow unfolding over the arena, wings of violet smoke blotting the false sky, and the shy creature who plays dead for dumplings is suddenly the reason the word dread was coined. Her curse rolls out first, Nether Abyss Curse, the ability that made the Academy's appraisers go pale, because it deletes the one law this world runs on, level advantage. Every being in that arena, level 69 princess and 4th tier referee alike, becomes, for the duration of her anger, merely mortal. Then the execution aura lights, the instant death field that simply concludes anything below a fifth of its strength, and half the arena's front sections discover religion at once. The chief referee, 4th tier, level 90 plus, a man whose job description is can stop anything on this floor, hits the intervention field. The intervention field arrives at my daughter's curse and gets processed like everything else, politely, totally, and without effect. Body of 10,000 poisons doesn't acknowledge seniority. For 9 full seconds in front of the whole planet, nothing in that arena can stop my child except the thing that raised her, little you. She freezes with her breath, half drawn over a princess who is staring up with the clear-eyed calm of royalty doing the math on its own ending. The huge violet head turns to me. I hold up in one hand at arena scale the size of a crumb, the tiger hood. Hood's getting cold, sweetheart. The god of death looks at the hood, looks at Loya, looks at the hood, and deflates. 100 meters of apocalypse, folding down and down into a small violet comma that trots over, headbutts my shin, and presents her head for rehooding while the arena's 150,000 survivors remember breathing as a group activity. Loya is saved by the bell, the mercy rule, and my daughter's dress code. In that order, the princess surrenders on the spot, gracefully, and with the eyes of an archer who has just seen the one target she'll never be allowed to miss, and the world now knows. No illusion construct cover story survives this feed. The boy from Nanzhou has a holy dragon, has, the analysts whisper, counting silhouettes from the exchange match and the exam leaks, and today, possibly several, and the whole architecture of international power tilts 3 degrees toward one villa with claw-marked furniture. The final, me versus Lin Chuling, the dragon against the Ice Queen's blade, the 2 18-year-olds who came first and second in the same provincial exam, one bracket apart all season, meeting at last on the biggest stage the species has. The whole country holds its breath for a week. My daughters hold a card tournament. Little Han is up, 40 dumplings and 2 IOS by Thursday, and an audit is pending. My final day, Shenlong Arena at pressure cooker capacity, scalpers outside trading tickets for cars, and the pre-match ceremony so long that my opponent and I end up standing around backstage together like 2 people waiting for the same delayed train, which is when Lin Kuling reveals what she actually is, and it's nothing the feeds prepared me for. Little Yu, wandering backstage in her hood, has gotten her head stuck in a ceremonial shield. Again, this is a lifestyle for her. She investigates cavities headfirst on principle, and her little horns work like barbs, in fine, out, never. I turn around from the equipment check to find humanity's ace, the Ice Queen's own disciple, the most feared finalist in the Federation, crouched behind my daughter, with both hands on the shield rim, braced, pulling with the focus technique of a farmer, narrating flatly. Her horns are caught. She's coming out like a radish. Pop goes my daughter out of a national ceremonial artifact, and Lin Kuling sets her down, straightens the tiger hood with 2 precise adjustments, hands her back to me, and says, with 0 change of expression, "Control your dragon and focus on the match. I want you at your best." Then she walks to her gate. My daughters unanimously and instantly decide they like her. Traitors. That's the enemy, girls. The enemy with good hands and correct hood opinions. And then the bell rings, and I stop having warm feelings because Lin Chuling nearly kills me twice in the first 40 seconds. I need you to understand what her fighting style is. Everyone in this world casts along rails, gesture, incantation, cast time, release, even fast casting like mine skips the wait but keeps the tells. Lin Kuling has no rails. Level 64. Dark Mage, taught by an actual demigod, and her magic simply occurs. No gesture, no glow, no warning, spells blooming out of empty air at angles nothing telegraphed. The first one, a lance of compressed dark, materializes already inside my guard. Divine perceptions scream and divine flashes blink are the only reasons my biography continues. The second one is cast into the space she predicted I'd blinked too long. She plays the same chess Loya played, but in the dark and faster, and it shaves close enough that my collar frosts. The commentators are shrieking. My daughters on the bench have stopped playing cards. That's how serious it is. Little Yu takes the field first, per our plan, and for 3 minutes, the two of them stage the highest level magical duel this arena has ever hosted. I want to slow this part down because the feeds never did it justice. My daughter opens with Doctrine, soldier phalanxes advancing under Venom Cloud cover, the conversion engine primed to eat whatever Lin Kuling kills and send it back at her wearing our colors. Every opponent all season has fed that engine. Lin Kuling refuses to. Her dark doesn't kill the soldiers, it unsummons them. Banishment craft woven into every working, erasing my units into folded space where there's no corpse to convert. She's read the engine's manual and built the counter, and she's casting it invisibly, ambidextrously, while walking forward. The soldier count goes down. The first time all year the number has moved in that direction, and the venom clouds keep finding her already elsewhere. Her position a rumor her spells start. Little Yu gets genuinely absorbed, combat absorbed, the rarest mode of my shyest child, and begins improvising. False phalanxes as bait. Venom hidden inside the fold points of banished squads. A beautiful 3-layer trap that Lin Kuling steps around like she'd been mailed the blueprints. The exchange rate is nearly even, which means the engine is losing. And then she does the thing she came to do, the thing her demigod teacher armed her for, the card the whole tournament never saw her play. She speaks a working end. The first time all match she's used words for magic, which should have been my warning, and the air above the arena splits into a ring of black iron. Dark exile, layered through an artifact that rises out of the ring, a lattice of chains and altar iron that every dragon-blooded thing in a kilometer recognizes on sight, on instinct, the way a wolf knows a trap it's never seen. The dragon-slaying lock, semi-divine, forged in an age when someone hunted my daughter's ancestors for a living, and quenched, you can feel it, everyone dragon-adjacent can, in what it caught. The soul's still in it, old dragon souls, chained into the lattice, moaning at a frequency below sound, and it takes my baby. The exile field wraps Little Yu before her curse can bite the artifact, the one class of thing her curse can't level delete, a relic already outside the level system, and drags her, hood and all, into a sealed pocket behind those chains, among those moaning old ghosts. So, through the bond, I feel what she feels, full bandwidth, not pain, terror. My shy one, my hider behind eggshells, alone in an iron dark with the crying remains of her own kind, and her little signal through the bond is just my name, over and over, the way she said Gigi from inside the shell before she trusted the world. The arena sees the freshman's unstoppable dragon vanish and erupts. It's over. The ace did it. The tamer's disarmed. Lin Kuling lowers her hand and gives me, evenly, kindly even, the professionals out. Your summon is sealed for the duration. The lock holds demigod bindings. You can't reach her. A pause, 1 degree softer. Concede, she's unharmed in there. You've lost nothing but a match. Here's the thing, Lin Kuling. 2 things, actually. First, nobody puts my kid in a box. Second, you all keep counting my dragons off the footage. Nobody, not the analysts, not the academies, not your demigod teacher, has ever confirmed the actual number. I reach down the other 2 bonds and say out loud, in a stadium gone suddenly very attentive, girls, both of you, come meet the nice lady who helped your sister with the shield. The sky over Shenlong Arena grows 2 suns. Little Ju comes out at 300 meters. 300, the full unbanked furnace of the endless Firemaster, wings from stand to stand, and the arena's climate control surrenders in a shriek of alarms. Little Han lands beside her at 200 of glacier white, and the temperature drops 30 degrees in the fire's own shadow, both my eldest looking down at the little iron lattice, holding their sister with expressions that need no translation in any species. 150,000 people do not make a sound. On the feeds, I'm told the frame couldn't hold both dragons and the arena at once. Directors had to choose. I look across the frost and ember field at the finalist, and I ask her, honestly curious, you were saying something about conceding. Lin Kuling looks up at the 2 skies, looks at her lock, which is rated for a dragon, singular. looks at me, and I watch the Ice Queen's disciple run the full calculation at her famous speed. And then she does the thing that makes her, in my book, the second most respectable person in this arena after the small one in the box. She laughs, one short, genuine, astonished laugh, the first expression I've ever seen reach her eyes. And she opens her hand, and the dragon slaying lock unravels, and my youngest comes streaking out of the dissolving dark straight into my chest, and I hold her, hood, trembles and all, while her sisters close overhead like a roof over the world. I concede, says Lin Kuling into the referee's array, crisp and clear, and then, to me, off array, at a volume meant for exactly one person. Nobody could reach her in there. You were going to tear the lock open with your hands, weren't you? With my teeth, if it came to it. She files it. I can see the entry being written into whatever ledger lives behind those eyes. I thought so. Champion. My word now. It hits the arena screens in 6 languages, and the sound that follows is less a cheer than a natural disaster. Individual champion of the 10,000 Kingdoms tournament, a first year, a cook, an orphan, a father of 3. The announcers cycle my resume in disbelief while the Federation anthem plays and every human in a packed stadium loses their collective mind. Somewhere in the VIP section, Hyelan is on her feet with her folder pressed to her chest like a hymnal. Somewhere higher in the sealed boxes, the delegations of several foreign powers are already leaving early, and I mark it, even mid-confetti, leaving like people with calls to make. On the podium, mid-medal, my system, which has been suspiciously quiet all match, like a parent filming from the front row, clears its throat. Ding. Milestone achieved. Continental Individual Champion. Reward. Dragon Egg ×1. Grade SSS. Incubation period 30 days. A 4th egg 30 days. I look down at the 3 heads currently fighting for position under my medal. Flame, Frost, Venom, 1 podium, 0 dignity, and I make the announcement through the bond. Girls, you're getting another sister. The card game is going to need a 4th chair. The champion's material rewards deserve 1 paragraph because they tell you everything about my new tax bracket and my actual priorities. The Federation grants the individual champion 3 picks from its treasure vault, a Vault Nations bid, over, plus a skill inheritance. Time reversal, SS grade, the single most broken thing I now own. A 6-second rewind of my own state. Wounds closed. Cooldowns reset on a timer. The vault picks, though. The appraisers walk me past god metal blades and demigod armor and bottled bloodlines, all the geopolitical hardware, and I select 1 dragon vitality pill of legendary vintage because little Jew's been eyeing lesser versions in catalogs. 1 star-chilled moon fruit, the delicacy little Han refused to admit she wanted at the banquet by staring at it for 11 minutes, and 1 shadow silk cloak, child-sized, with tiger stripes because my youngest deserves a cape that matches the hood. The appraisers' faces as the champion of the known world walks out of the vault of nations with 2 snacks and a cape. I'd bottle it if I could. Some men conquer for gold. I have 3 daughters. Gold is for people whose kids don't eat furniture. Hyelan, escorting me out, finally asks the question her folder's been holding all season. Do you regret nothing in that vault? Ma'am, did you see the cape? Now, the calls I saw being made from the VIP boxes, I find out about this one much later from sources I won't name, but you need it now in order because everything after this point grows out of that meeting. The same week as my coronation, in a sealed hall in a neutral port city, the delegations that left early convene, the Free Federation, the Fusang Islands, the Holy Empire, and several flags that officially don't exist. The agenda has 1 item, the recordings that survive quoted in bureaucratic language, rebalancing the beast asset gap, but the plain version, the version that matters, is this. Humanity's new champion tamed the last dragons, so his rivals have voted to open the old vaults and wake what's in them. The ancient ferocious beasts, the sealed ones, the things the first transferers a century ago fought to a standstill and buried under mountains because killing them was beyond that whole generation. Release them, tame them, if anyone survives the attempt. Point them at the next world tournament where the rules, everyone double checks this clause, permit kills. Keep that in your pocket. The bill arrives at the end of this story. Me, I spend the following month doing what I always do between wars. Groceries, but ambitious. The level 40 bracket of national dungeons, legendary and epic grade, the ones with waiting lists for raid groups, opens to my solo license and my daughters and I eat our way down the menu. But 4 of those clears aren't shopping. 4 of them are archaeology and they change what this story is about. The Barthas Balthazar Temple, a legendary dungeon built into a scorched mesa, and the moment we enter, all three girls go wrong at once. Hackles, low triple growl, pupils to slits. The temple's murals explain why, and I read them with my blood going cooler wall by wall. A god of war wreathed in black flame, rendered enormous, and beneath his feet, dragons. Dragon after dragon after dragon, broken, chained, burning. Balthazar, the Frieses name him, a real god from the pantheon layer of this world I'd filed under later, and his entire iconography, his thing, the deed his cult exists to celebrate, is dragon slaying. The temple's boss, a skeletal knight avatar animated by a splinter of his authority, uses a fraction of that black flame, and it's the first thing in months that makes Little Juice Fire look like it has an opinion rather than a verdict. We win, thought we're us, but I leave that dungeon with a name lodged in me like shrapnel. Somewhere above this world's weather, there is a god whose hobby is my daughters. Terror Mountain comes between the two revelations and earns its place on the archaeology list the hard way. It's a legendary dungeon built as a warning, no treasure vault at its heart, a battlefield preserved in stone, a mountain pass where, the murals say, the first transferred generation made a stand against something the Frieses only show as a wall of eyes and won by the width of a fingernail and sealed what was left under the pass rather than pretend it could be killed. The dungeon's monsters are echoes of that battle, replaying it nightly. We clear them, take the records, take the loot, but what I actually carry out of Terror Mountain is the mural math. The ancients built prisons because victory wasn't on the menu. And somewhere across the sea, per a certain sealed hall vote, people have been opening prisons. Then the Juoma Snowfield, an epic dungeon at the roof of the continent, a blizzard plateau with something at its center that the dungeon information panel calls terrain. It is not terrain, it is a head. A dragon's head the size of a hill, fossilized mid-roar, half buried in century ice. And the girls don't growl at this one. They go quiet, all three, and then they do something I've never seen. They bow, on their own, to a landmark. The panel, updated after the clear, gives the landmark her name, Droma, the mother of dragons, the ancient mother goddess of the whole line, the wellspring my daughter's species poured from, slain, the lore text says, in the age before the merge, slain by Balthazar, her body scattered across the world, her head becoming this mountain, the snowfield her funeral shroud. I stand in front of that head, three small holy dragons pressed against my legs in silence, and I make one of those promises you don't say out loud because saying it cheapens it. The murals in the temple, the head in the ice, the vote in the sealed hall. The world is growing a shape, and the shape has teeth. The dungeon rewards from those 4 runs are on another scale from everything before. 161 million experience in aggregate, my level roaring up to 67, stats at 14,000 base, the girls into the mid-30,000s, 2 demigod grade artifacts drop. Balthazar's sword, the irony of wielding it, is not lost on me, and a small warm sphere called Juoma's Wish, which the appraisal simply labels keepsake, grows. And one skill that isn't loot so much as inheritance. Summon Droma, SSS, the dead mother's echo, callable to a battlefield. I don't test it in a dungeon. It feels wrong too, like test driving a hymn. And the 4th discovery is my youngest daughter's masterpiece, and for once I mean that with zero irony. In the dark ghost realm, little you, investigating headfirst, as is doctrine, jams herself into a wall cavity, sticks, panics, thrashes, and shears the false wall clean off a hidden chamber that no clear in the dungeon's recorded history ever found. The chamber holds a tidal stone. Treasure Explorer, permanently, everything I kill drops 50% more, and hidden caches within a kilometer ping me like naval sonar. A legendary farming title, my clumsiest child's greatest bug, is now the household's greatest feature. We celebrate with dumplings and put the shorn wall panel on the fridge. Oh, and Juoma's Wish does something none of us expect 3 nights later on the villa floor in the middle of a card game. It rings one soft harmonic like a struck bowl, and a presence opens behind it the way a door opens behind a keyhole. Vast, old, unhurried. The girls freeze mid-cheat, and through the keepsake, in a voice like continental drift given a throat, arrives one sentence like Human, you carry my daughters. The mother of dragons is dead. The mother of dragons is not entirely gone, and she knows my address. We talks, if you can call it that. She spends most of her strength on 6 sentences and goes dormant again for weeks. But I come away knowing 3 things. Her consciousness survives in fragments, anchored to relics like the wish. Balthazar is not mythology, he is current, patron of the demon clans, and his attention turns wherever holy dragon blood resurfaces, and the last thing she says before the keepsake cools about my daughters in a tone that is somehow both a blessing and a mobilization order. They chose well, feed them, grow them. The sky is not empty, the sky is not empty. I put it on the shelf next to research value in the museum of sentences that run my life. The team tournament arrives on my calendar like a second harvest, and I still owe you this one because my federation duties don't end at the individual medal. Same arena, same delegations, 5 aside, and my squad, Anachris, restored and re-armored. The third years and their freshman captain walks in as the team everyone's bracket is built to avoid. The demons draw us in the group stage because my scheduling luck is a fundamental force of my life. And the demons, still nursing the national embarrassment of their sealed and frostbitten ace, come in with a strategy of open contempt. Their full 7-mage backline, they've loaded a caster-heavy formation specifically for us, opens the match with a synchronized barrage at ME personally before the formation horn's echo dies. 7 war-grade spells in 1 volley. The correct team answer is a screen of tanks and a rotation of wards. I step out in front of my tanks alone and give the volley to Dragon's parry. Here's what the technique became after a season of drilling with Hyalan's instructors filing complaints. The half-second window isn't a sword trick anymore. It's a principle, and it turns out a principle scales. 7 spells arrive. 7 spells are met at the exact hinge of their arrival and handed back, redirected down their own trajectories with my Holy Dragon Knight multipliers stacked on top like export tariffs. The demon backline vanishes into its own returned barrage, all 7 self-deleted in one motion in the opening 2 seconds on the tournament's premiere feed. The rest of the match is our third years politely rounding up survivors while the commentators replay the parry frame by frame, trying to find the moment I did anything at all. The demon delegation files a formal protest alleging illegal equipment, and I frame my copy. The equipment under review, my sword arm. The rest of the group stage belongs to my squad, and I make sure of it deliberately because a captain who solos everything sends 4 world-class teammates home smaller than they arrived. Against the dwarves' shield fortress formation, I call plays and stay in the pocket, and Anna Chris breaks their unbreakable wall herself with a royal pressure charge that trends for a day. She needs it. The whole country watched her lose to Aina, and I want the country to watch this instead. Against the Beastkin, Mushinyu's sniping and Bian Suetong's wardcraft carry a clean sweep while I contribute exactly 1 parry and a thumbs up. By the semi-final, our squad has stopped being the champion and his entourage in the press and become a team in the standings, 5 names printed in the same font size. Little Han disapproves of the font. She feels her father's name should be larger and possibly gilded. She has written to the Federation in crayon through channels, meaning she made little you deliver it in the hood to a formation official too charmed to refuse. Our semi-final is Silver Moon, and Silver Moon comes correct. This is the fight I'd have paid to watch from the stands. Demigod forged regalia on their front line, a battle herd of 100 moon unicorns flooding the arena floor like silver surf, and Loya herself transformed, her dark moon bloodline awakened since our duel, her hair gone ink black, her relic bow drawing shots that bend around my parries now. She's grown in weeks by an amount that should take years. Princesses take losses personally, and I respect it enormously. Our squads grind each other for 9 brutal minutes, the closest thing to even I've experienced since enrollment. Anna trading royal bloodline pressure with her across the whole field. So I try the hymn, Summon Droma. I speak it. It doesn't cast like a skill, it casts like a request up to whatever fraction of her is listening, and the false sky of the arena opens, and the Mother of Dragons answers. Not a body, a soul at 1/10 power, the lore panel said, and 1/10 of her fills the entire sky from wall to wall. A translucent immensity of maternal fury and antique grief wings past both horizons of the venue, an eye the size of the moon unicorn herd looking down. Every unicorn kneels. Instantly, all 100 surf to statuary, Loya's awakened bloodline, dragon adjacent, far up its family tree, like most old power in this world, locks her joints mid-draw, and the Silver Moon delegation, an ancient people with long memories and older gods, take one collective look at what the human team's captain keeps in his skill bar, and their captain does the wise, graceful, historically literate things. Silver Moon concedes the match and requests, Loya adds, bow lowered, eyes still up, voice absolutely steady. An introduction, later, formally. The final, then, us versus Ice Spirit Academy, Lin Shuling's team. The rematch the entire species has been foaming for since the individual final. The betting handle on it breaks Federation records. There are think pieces. Someone leaks a training camp photo of her, and the analyst extracts 3 theories from her posture. She walks to center field before the anthem, meets me at the line, and with the referee's array live, so the whole planet hears it, says, "My teacher watched your matches, all of them. Her assessment took one sentence. A beat." The competitor in her hates this next part, and the scientist in her overrules it. Where the dragons stand, ice does not win. We concede the final. The arena boos. 150,000 people denied their rematch, boo the most rational decision any opponent has made all season. The Ice Queen, a demigod, scouted my family and declined the engagement, and the crowd wants blood anyway. Lin Kuling stands in the booing like it's light rain, shakes my hand, and delivers the rest at a volume for one. I hate this more than they do. Enjoy it while it lasts. I will catch up to you anytime. I tell her and mean it as a standing invitation, and she nods like we've signed something. Then she looks down at my shoulders, where 3 small heads have emerged to observe the handshake, and asks with the first hint of hope I've ever heard in that voice, "May I?" 3 heads withdraw in unison. Bustigon. The radish incident bought her respect, not access. My daughter's affections have a waiting list, and rescuing one of them one time gets you to approximately number 40 on it. Lin Kuling withdraws the hand with dignity and files this too. The farewell circuit after the medals is its own little epilogue, and I collect the goodbyes like cards. Loya arrives with a formal Silver Moon delegation and the promised introduction request. Turns out the elves want diplomatic relations with, and I quote the document, the House of the Holy Dragons, which is apparently my living room. And off protocol, she asks to say goodbye to the girls, and the girls who respect anyone who survived Little Yu's temper at range actually allow a brief royal audience of mutual dignified nodding. Alvin bets me in elven vintage that his choir beats my army in 3 years. Booked. Betty presents me, dwarf fashion, with a hand-forged apology, a small steel figurine of a dragon with teeth bared. Because I checked, and your soul really does have them. And the demon delegation leaves without a word. In formation before the closing anthem, which everyone notices and nobody minds, and only I read correctly as a schedule. They're not sulking. They're early. For the next thing, double crown, individual champion, team champion, tournament MVP of the final series. The trophies need their own transport. The resource rights math from our federation waiting sets the whole country's budget smiling for a cycle. In the victory banquet is 400 dignitaries watching me load a levitating cart in what the catering staff now officially logs. I have seen the clipboard as the Chin protocol. The girls eat like queens at midnight. Tradition is tradition. And at the bottom of the system's champion payout, under the second time reversal charge and a firepower passive, sits one item with no market analog. Holy Dragon Cultivation Lamp, an artifact lantern of slow gold light, purpose-built for exactly one job in all the world, ripening dragon eggs. The 4th egg has 20 days left on its timer. I set the lamp beside it that night purely to shave the weight. The egg hatches in 4 hours. She comes into the world dark as a clear midnight and calm as one. No explosion, no frost, no hiding. She simply steps out of the opened shell, looks around the living room with grave star-flecked eyes, locates me, and inclines her head in a small formal bow like a guest arriving exactly on time. Star Moon, Holy Dragon, Lord of the Galaxy. Level 1, the familiar absurd stat block, and a skill page I have to read twice. Every attack she makes is true damage, the kind that ignores everything, and her passive mantle reflects 80% of what touches her. She is, out of the shell, a physics violation with good posture, and her voice, she's the first of my daughters born speaking, is a soft, precise Jew, gentler than her sister's everything, attached to the manners of a courteous older student, and, I will learn within a week, the combat appetite of a warlord. The politest one is the most dangerous one. Of course she is. It's always the quiet transfer student. Her name is Huya. Little night before the first hour's out. The sisters conduct the traditional inspection, triple sniff, brief tribunal, and then Little Jew performs the sacred rite of the lick, tail to crown, and the College of Dragons votes yes, and my 4th daughter is baptized in sibling saliva, while the cultivation lamp gutters out its last gold. Job done. Retirement earned. 4 holy dragons. The panel updates their portraits in a row, flame, frost, venom, starlight, and beneath the row, my bloodline fusion ticks over as the 4th dividend stream comes online, and my Holy Dragon Knight page unfolds a 4th bond slot with effects I'll spend a week testing. 4. When I stood in that ceremony circle a year ago, the textbook said dragons were extinct. The textbook needs a new edition. Little Knight's onboarding program, as I design it, is the level 50 to 60 dungeon bracket because my parenting philosophy is immersion. She goes from level 1 to 45 in her first afternoon. The experience curve surrenders unconditionally when your every hit is true damage and your big sisters insist on letting the baby finish every boss like it's teaching her to ride a bike. And watching her work is an education in itself because she fights the way she talks. Formally, she bows to bosses before engaging. She waits out their opening monologues with attentive politeness. Her sisters have never once permitted a monologue to reach its second sentence, and then concludes the engagement in one precise motion and bows again after to the loot. The Dungeon Wings instructors reviewing her feeds coined the term courtesy execution and have to lie down. Her sisters attempt to coach the manners out of her for one day, fail completely, and instead adopt the bowing as a squad bit, which is how the national feeds end up with footage of 4 holy dragons formally bowing to a boss who is visibly praying, and the caption war in the comments never really ends. And the brackets crown boss, the Blood Crystal Corpse King, a calamity grade horror that 3 full raid guilds prepare months for, provides the quote of the season. He rises from his crystal throne, spreads his arms for his opening phase, and sees all 4 of them. Flame, Frost, Venom, and Starlight, 4 holy dragons shoulder to shoulder with their father checking the loot table on his panel like a man reading a menu. The Corpse King lowers his arms, looks at his Phase 1 ads who are already kneeling, and in a voice of ancient, exhausted dignity, delivers his final address. A scholar can be killed, he cannot be humiliated. And he impales himself on his own crystal throne, forfeiting the fight on principle. We stand there in the silence. Little Knight looks up at me, deeply concerned, and asks if she did something impolite. Sweetheart, no. Sometimes the meal simply refuses to be food. Respect the choice. Loot the throne. My sheet after that week reads like an error report. Level climbing through the high 60s. Space stats past 35,000. 4 dividend streams compounding daily. And it's while we're exactly this strong, exactly this happy, exactly this busy playing cards on the villa floor, that the world's other shoe drops, the one the sealed hall vote paid for. It starts as news chyrants over my breakfast. Rifts, spatial breaches, the kind the merge left scarring the planet, flaring open in a pattern which rifts don't do. Patterns mean intent. I learned that reading airflow in kitchens. Then whole feeds go dark, region by region, and He Allen's emergency channel delivers the classified version in her flattest voice, which is how I know it's bad. Coordinated attacks across the entire country, dozens of cities, and behind them, revealed after a decade of burrowing, an organization the intelligence services have been chasing like smoke. The Black Blood Demon Sect. Human cultists sworn to the demon clans, sworn to demon gods, the file says, and one of the 5 names it lists as their pantheon I already know from Temple Freezes. Their doctrine is simple enough for a recruitment pamphlet. Demonkind is the higher race, humanity is livestock with paperwork, and a cultist who feeds the rift altars earns elevation, remade as a demon spawn, with a demon's triple gifts, an engine block body, lives in reserve, and strength that grows mid-fight the longer it feeds. The attacks are harvest festivals, the rifts are supply lines. And the sacrifices. I stop reading the brief right there because my eye has already snagged on the map on one glowing dot on the coast. Anning City is under attack. I'm through the villa door before the folder hits Hyelan's desk. Longdu's teleport hub is slagged. Every civic gate nationwide went down in the first strike wave. Of course it did. They've been planning this for 10 years. And it's 400 kilometers of burning country between my daughter's cards and my mother's kitchen. Heavenly dragon travel gets me airborne. It isn't fast enough. Nothing is fast enough. So Little Jew takes the front in strength form, and I ride the space behind her shoulders with the other 3 in the bond, and we go low under the weather, a red comet with a family inside it, and what's beneath us the whole way I will be processing for years. Highways of refugees, town militias holding crossroads with hunting grade skills against things that used to be their neighbors. The Anning City perimeter is a battle line when we arrive. The local garrison, plus every retired adventurer in the province, holding the old walls against a tide of demon spawn and holding, barely, bending, and we hit the tide from above like a municipal sunrise. Little Jew, in full transformation, is a bulldozer made of dawn. She opens a burning boulevard through the horde's center mass, and I drop into it, and I want to tell you I was tactical, but the honest report is that between the wall and the orphanage district, I was a straight line, and nothing on that line kept its footing. Somewhere along it, a garrison soldier on the wall mid-swing recognizes what just flew over and starts screaming to his whole unit, "The champion, that's the champion." And I hear the line's roar change key behind me because morale is also a weapon and apparently I'm ordnance. At the plaza before the orphanage district, the tide has a commander and the commander is the trap. He stands alone on the fountain, unbothered, in the dress uniform of the city's own defense command, Tian Yuanming, supreme commander of Anning City's garrison, the man whose signature sat under a decade of the city's defense planning. Turned, Not turned today, the brief will confirm later, turned years ago, a sect bishop's investment, marinating at the top of my hometown's protection, while the sect's tunnels grew under it. Level 89, and wrong in the way the spawn are wrong, but refined, elevation with a tailor. Kneel, he says, and the word arrives wearing a demon god's borrowed authority, a command weave that hits the plaza like gravity switching sides. And the whole plaza kneels. The garrison detachment behind me, mid-charge, down, armor cracking on flagstones. The refugees in the arcade, down. It's a house-breaking word for a species he no longer belongs to. It slides off me like rain off a roof. Wrong bloodline, commander. Mine outranks your landlord's. His composure flickers, one frame, the first honest expression the man's worn in years, and he escalates to the actual weapon. A demon core detonation, a sphere of black annihilation the size of a house. The technique his kind uses to erase strong points, and he throws it at me, with the plaza's kneeling hundreds in the blast radius. Because of course he does. Hostages are just terrain to the elevated. So I introduce him to my youngest. Little Knight meets the sphere mid-flight. 80% reflection, remember, on a mantle that doesn't care what the incoming IS. The Annihilation Sphere returns to sender at 4/5 strength. His technique, his signature, home to roost, and the commander of Anning City's defenses dies for the first time inside his own masterpiece. For the first time. The demon gifts include lives in reserve, and his corpse reassembles out of black smoke with a laugh already loaded. Did you think one death would, and the reflected residue of his own sphere, still live inside the reassembly, kills him again mid-sentence. He rebuilds again, visibly rattled now, standing in his own recursive execution. I watch a level 89 demon commander die 4 consecutive times inside one bounce technique, each reassembly greeted by his own returning ordnance. And somewhere in death number 3, his expression achieves a question that I imagine reads, who am I, where am I, and why does dying keep happening to me? When the recursion finally spends itself and he claws upright the 5th time, mortal remainder guttering, Little Knight finishes the appointment her way, precise, formal, one measured exhale of star-white breath delivered. And the plaza's kneeling hundreds will retell this part forever. Olapcasp Tachinmal Saxis directly down his throat, mid-monologue. It's be smivu or lake, and the demon spawn's engine block body ignites from the inside with light that has no temperature, and what falls to the flagstones after doesn't reassemble. The command weave snaps around me. A plaza of hostages becomes a plaza of soldiers standing up angry, and I'm already moving because 2 streets over, behind the barricade line, there's a gate I painted myself 2 summers ago. The orphanage stands. Understand, the district around it is scorched. The barricade at its lane is a hedge of spent spell wards and dead spawn stacked like cordwood, but the building stands because the Academy's guardian detail, the 4th tier quiet men he y'all and stationed in my first month, the insurance I drank tea over, held that lane all night, 3 of them against the tide's whole finger, and held it, and are still standing when I land, leaning on their weapons like scaffolding, and one of them musters a salute with 2 fingers and says, "Your mother makes exceptional noodles, young master. We were motivated." Inside, Ah-Ma has 40 children in the storm cellar, organized, fed, mid-lullaby, a soup ladle in her belt like a sidearm. She takes in my scorched everything, the 4 glowing daughters crowding the stairwell behind me, the night sky strobing with a war ang, and her first words, her actual first words, are, "Have you eaten?" I break, finally, quietly, into the shoulder of a woman half my size in a cellar that smells of soup and chalk, while my daughters pile around us both and 40 kids whisper that the champion is crying, which, let them report it. Fact check. Confirmed. The champion cried on his mother, and the mother patted the back of the strongest human on the planet and told him the noodles would be ready in 10 minutes. My city holds. The country, by dawn, mostly holds. And I sit on the orphanage roof in the sunrise with 4 dragons and a bowl of noodles, looking at the smoke columns on the horizon, and I feel the shape of the next chapter of my life assemble itself with a click. The sect planned this for a decade. The sect touched my city. The sect's patrons wake ancient beasts for a tournament where killing is legal, and their pantheon includes a god who hunts my daughter's kind for sport. Fine. Inventory complete. Let's talk about the month I spent making it my decade-ruining problem. Step 1 of my plan for ruining a demon sect's decade. Stop being Chin fan. Here's the tactical problem. The Black Blood demon sect survived 10 years of national intelligence because it doesn't fight networks, it infiltrates them. The Tian Yuan Ming lesson, purchased at the price of my hometown's walls. Anything official I join leaks, anything I do under my own face gets planned around because my face is currently on commemorative merchandise. the champion cannot hunt them, so the champion goes home to rest publicly with a statement from the academy about recovery and study. And a nobody named Chin Long, a wandering mid-tier element warrior with a plain war staff, a scarf, and paperwork so boring it's invisible, signs up with the Demon Suppression Corps, the volunteer auxiliary. The military stood up after the attacks to garrison the burned zones. Element warrior, because it's the classified's most common class. Long, because my daughters approved the joke. The disguise kit is real work, a signature scrambling talisman from Hyalon's Quiet Men catalog, my aura banked down to level 40-something, the girls traveling as pets, small mode, auras furled, which they treat as deep cover theater and take more seriously than any actual combat. Little Jew practices a common lizard walk. It is the least convincing thing I have ever seen. It fools everyone. And the staff, oh the staff. Before leaving, I take the Falling Flame staff, triple rainbow enchanted, legendary forged, to the Academy's master smith, Zhang Shu, with a custom request that makes him put down his tea, a transforming frame. 2 configurations. A standard war staff, and a long-barreled sniper configuration, a shoulder-braced launch rail for compressed spell shots because the anonymous hunter I'm about to become does his best work from 800 meters. Zhang Shu builds it in 3 sleepless days, names it Frost Fury after test-firing it into a mountain, and asks only one thing, that I never tell anyone a smith of his standing built a magic gun for shooting the faith out of cultists. Sir, your secret dies with the cultists. My core camp sits in the scorched belt outside a mid-sized city the sect hit hard, and my arrival ceremony consists of a duty sergeant reading Element Warrior, unranked, off my file and assigning me to latrine-adjacent tent housing while the career squad snicker. A nobody with a weird staff and 4 lazy pets. Someone's rich kid playing soldier the camp decides. Some merchant's son who bought his way into a safe posting. I commit to the role with an artist's discipline. I'm mediocre at morning drills at a consistent, unremarkable level, which is harder than being good. Try missing a target by the same margin 5 times when your passive skill list includes perfect weapon mastery. I overpay at the canteen and tip like a man who's never checked a price. I complain mildly about the cots. My lizard naps on my helmet during inspection, and the inspecting officer moves down the line rather than deal with it. My tent, for the record, has more holes than my cover story, and the cover story is Rich Idiot, so the camp does my work for me. Within a week, I'm the joke, invited to card games as the table's dessert, where I lose exactly enough to stay invited under the supervision of a small frost dragon in my hood who considers deliberate losing a war crime and bills me her cut of every hand I throw. Deep cover has operating costs. Mine are denominated in dumplings. Within a week, I've also mapped the camp's rot, because the joke gets to sit in corners hearing everything, and the rot goes to the top. Captain Shui Hong, decorated, beloved, the man whose patrols somehow always sweep the valleys the sect has already left. It takes me 9 nights of shadowing his comm runners to open the whole scheme like a walnut, and the scheme is worse than treason. It's art. The sect doesn't plan to fight the core here. It plans to hand the core a victory, a fake climactic battle against expendable cultist chaff, a triumphant liberation of the city, medals all around, while the city's water, food, and festival crowds get threaded with sacrament toxin, and 100,000 liberated citizens are quietly converted over months into the largest sacrificial reservoir the sect has ever banked. A city-sized ranch, wearing a rescue's face, with a decorated captain as the ranch's smiling fence. I hate them so much, it clarifies like broth. I could unmask now, but cutting one fence leaves the ranch. What I need is the sect's whole regional lattice, every stronghold, every altar, every bishop's courier route. So the camp joke starts taking solo scavenging walks, and on those walks, from various ridgelines at 800 meters in the sniper configuration, Frost Fury begins its ministry. My first stronghold sets the house style. A abandoned quarry complex 2 valleys north, abandoned the way a spider web is abandoned, where the couriers converge every 3rd night, and beneath the quarry floor, per Little U's advance crawl, a cell of 200 cultists and an altar already stocked with caged livestock awaiting transport. Prisoners first, always. My youngest slips the pens open from inside at moonset, while the guards on the wire experience sudden localized frost-related career endings, and 40 terrified civilians walk out of a demon sect's larder through a corridor of fog they'll describe to the core as the mountain breathing us out. Then the altar's duty priest raises the alarm, or reaches for the alarm, which stays a reach forever, because 800 meters away on the ridge, I exhale, squeeze, and Frost Fury delivers my opinion at 3 times the speed of his scream. The cell's leadership makes it out of the barracks into the yard in time to meet the yard. The yard is on fire, the fire is smokeless, and it is my eldest daughter's new quiet voice, and it asks no questions and takes no notes. By dawn, there is no stronghold, no altar, no cell, just a quarry that is finally genuinely abandoned. 40 freed people on the road to the core checkpoint with a story about mountain spirits, and one line in the sex regional ledger that will never balance again. I'm back in camp for morning drill. I perform adequately for my rank. The sergeant docks me points for an improperly folded tent. The pattern, refined over the month into something I'm genuinely proud of. Find a stronghold through courier tracking. Observe until the roster's mapped. Then surgical intake. Perimeter wards die first to a frost shot they never hear. Then the altar goes mid-ceremony when the maximum leadership clusters around it. Then the girls deploy, and this is where the month becomes their story too, because deep cover unlocks something in my daughters that regular war never asked of them. Craft. Little Jew learns to burn hot and smokeless, taking cell houses in silent flashes. Little Hans Fog becomes a signature the survivors trade rumors about. The white silence, strongholds found days later frost-sealed from the inside. Every occupant asleep that isn't. Little Night walks through return fire like weather and closes accounts with formal one-breath precision. And Little You, my shy one, my masterpiece. Somewhere in week 2, she invents her own role and refuses to relinquish it. The agent. She insists on the tiger hood and the tiger cape for operations, insists the full ensemble, mission critical, and her specialty is infiltration. Tiny, silent, venom-cloaked, she slips strongholds ahead of us and unlocks them from within. The legend of her spreads through the sex surviving cells and fragments that I collect like trading cards, the whispers of a small striped death spirit that walks through walls. The apex of her career comes at the regional command stronghold, a fortified 50-story tower in the captured quarter of a rift city. My daughter enters through a drainage vent at 2 in the morning, dissolves the tower's entire command floor with one exhale, retrieves the Bishop Courier's ledger intact as instructed, very proud, hood at a jaunty angle, and then exiting, gets her horns stuck in the vent, panics, thrashes, and structurally redistributes the tower, all 50 stories, into an adjacent empty lot, mercifully. She emerges from the dust cloud wearing 40 floors of concrete as a hat, ledger still held daintily in her teeth, and the sect's surviving chroniclers record the incident as, the night the spirit grew wrathful and pulled down the tower with a thought. Tridal se do shizaskire. Correct in every particular except the thought. Captain Zhui Hong's turn comes at the finale because the finale is his own script, hijacked. His grand fake battle kicks off on schedule. Cultist chaff marching on the cord line for the cameras. The captain's center frame posing for his medal. Except the chaff doesn't stop on cue because the couriers who carried the stop order died on a ridge line the night before. And the captain's own reserves, the embedded traitor squads he salted through the core, received from his verified comm seal in my handwriting. I've had his seal for a week. In the orders to reinforce forward into the trap zone. Everything the sect embedded in that camp walks obediently into its own cauldron, on its own orders, in front of its own cameras. I spend the battle as Qinlong, unremarkable, mid-line, shooting adequately for my rank, while on the ridge above, Frost Fury's schedule runs itself. Every sect officer who unmasks to rally, marked and retired in sequence. The one human complication. Yan Shui, a young corps lieutenant, the single honest officer in the captain's chain of command, who's been quietly building her own treason file on him for months, and who the captain, sensing in-game, orders assigned to the forwardmost trap position. I get her out personally, a shoulder tackle out of a detonation radius that she'll describe in her report with a soldier's precision as being rescued by the latrine recruit moving like a fourth tier. And when the captain, cornered at his own command podium with his network burning around him, unmasks in desperation and elevates on camera into his demon spawn true form to carve his way out through his own men. The camp joke's helmet lizard is already behind him, hood on, cape settled. They still talk about it, the core veterans of that field. How the traitor captain reared up mid-transformation, engine block body, and borrowed lives, and a small striped shape flickered once, and the captain simply concluded, tier by tier, dissolving downward like a candle told to hurry. The official report credits an unregistered friendly asset. Little You keeps a newspaper clipping under her cushion. On it in crayon, a tiger-eared self-portrait, Agent 30 Strongholds. That's my month's ledger when I finally hang up the scarf. 30 regional strongholds unmade, the Bishop Courier lattice severed in 9 places, roughly 50,000 cultists subtracted from the sect's regional books, the city ranch scheme burned to paperwork, and a tide of freed sacrifice pens worth of people who will never know the name of the boring recruit from the camp with the funny staff. The net, of course, notices the impossible, some mysterious swordsman sniper dismantling a decade-old terror network across a month of anonymous miracles, and the forum threads run wild. And my favorite thread, the one I check nightly like a stock price, is the one titled "Could It Be Chin Fan?", where the top voted reply, 40,000 upvotes, reads, "Impossible." Champion fights with dragons in broad daylight. This guy's a sniper who works alone. Completely different styles. Learn profiling. 40,000 upvotes, my deep cover program's crowning review, and in a rift-shadowed sanctum somewhere I haven't found yet, the Sex Regional Bishop, intelligence, intercepts his actual words, and I have them framed, screams at his surviving lieutenants, 10 years of groundwork, unmade in 1 month, and we cannot even name the enemy. I do not sleep. I hear frost on the windows and I do not sleep. Good. Keep the lights on, Bishop. It costs extra, and you're already over budget. My system closes out the campaign with an audit of its own, and for once, its sense of occasion and mine agree completely. Ding. Hidden achievement chain complete. Scourge of the Black Blood. Calculating. Rewards issued. Weapon Master. SSS. Instant. Total mastery of every weapon form that exists, the sword and the staff and the sniper rail and things I haven't picked up yet, all of it settling into my hands like memories I apparently always had, and a boundary breaking stone, a one-use catalyst that pushes an artifact past its grade ceiling. I know exactly where it's going. Shwoma's wish has been warm in my pocket for 2 months. Growing, the panel said, the dead mother's keepsake, the anchor her voice reaches through. I set the stone against it at midnight on the villa floor, all 4 girls in a solemn circle, and the wish drinks the catalyst and blooms, light like the memory of every sunrise at once. And when it settles, the panel prints a classification I have never seen on any item anywhere. Shwoma's wish. Grade, God artifact. The first confirmed God grade artifact in the Federation's records. Humming gently on my living room floor. Droma's voice comes through it clearer now, closer, less like drift, and more like a grandmother on a good phone line. The girls each touch their nose to it once, some instinct older than all of us, and then Little Han, Lord of Winter, Princess of Glacial Dignity, tests the artifact's surface temperature, finds it agreeable, climbs on the first God-grade object in recorded history, rotates twice, and goes to sleep. It's her pillow now, the mother of dragons, I am told through the link, with something suspiciously like a laugh under the words, does not mind. Jiangshu gets one last commission before the deadline I'm about to tell you about, because Weapon Master gave me an idea that made him laugh for a full minute before he realized I meant it. A third configuration for Frost Fury, Melee, a staff that snaps to a sniper rail, that snaps to a close quarters piston lance for the exact and specific scenario where something gets inside my barrel's minimum range and needs the magic delivered, in his immortal workshop phrasing, directly into the customer's mouth. As it's a kan war, Schwadin Weiss, Deusilant Boysildnut Osinolberg Shizito test fires the Persia Lightbearer, the piston configuration into an anvil. The anvil retires. He hands it over with tears of a craftsman in his eyes and bills me nothing but the story. And the deadline. Here's where I stop, because this is where the source material of my year stops taking a breath. 5 days. In 5 days, my next mountain convenes at world scale. The 10,000 Kingdoms tournament. The true one. The world stage. Every champion of every federation on the planet. The one my continental crown was merely my qualifier for. The one the system has already stamped into my quest log with a phrasing I notice it's never used before, not once, all year, no reward listed, just become world champion, as if the reward is that I get to keep everything I have. 5 days, and the intelligence he yellin' slides across my kitchen table without a word, says the sealed hall powers spent their season exactly the way the vote promised. The old vaults are open. The ancient ferocious beasts, the ones a whole heroic generation could only bury, the ones whose taming attempts have been eating foreign geniuses all year in accidents their federations keep explaining away, are awake and bonded and entered riding into the world bracket on the shoulders of my rivals' champions. The rules clause everyone double-checked is confirmed in the official regulations, printed in the calm font of bureaucracies that have already counted the funerals, kills permitted. And somewhere above all of it, in the pantheon layer where my daughter's history was written in fire, a war god who hunts dragonkind for doctrine now has a whole world stage where the last 4 holy dragons will stand in the open, in his line of sight, next to one human boy. Let him look. I want him to look. I want him to see what I see at bedtime. You want the year in one picture? Here. A boy stands in a ceremony circle while 400 people laugh at his cooking talent, and a teacher jokes that at least dinner's covered. And tonight, that same boy watches the planet's 4 last holy dragons argue over a card game on the floor of a champion's villa, next to a god artifact one of them uses as a pillow, while the whole world learns his name in 6 languages and his mother's noodle recipe gets a fan club. The joke was right the whole time. Dinner is covered forever for everyone at my table. 5 days then, 5 days to sharpen the sword, spoil the girls, kiss Amma goodbye, and walk into an arena full of woken monsters, foreign knives, and a god's undivided attention with my whole family on my shoulders and the mother of dragons in my pocket. The world thinks it's finally arranged a fight I can lose. 5 days, I'm bringing the family, somebody should warn the gods.